The story opens on the chilling legend of Princess Grave, the tomb of a royal from a long-lost dynasty. In a desolate forest, a lone figure is surrounded by an ominous supernatural presence. A local superstition speaks of a ghostly bride who appears annually near the tomb on a specific lunar date. This spectral figure, draped in a red wedding dress, is said to wander the cursed grounds. Beneath her veil, however, lies a terrifying visage, a grotesque mockery of her former beauty. A young man reveals that the princess's death anniversary is when her spiritual energy is at its absolute peak. He boldly declares his plan to lead his followers on a night-long vigil at the haunted cemetery. His goal is to livestream the entire event, challenging the legend and seeking to expose the truth. The broadcast goes live, with his followers eagerly tuning in to witness the supernatural investigation. Meanwhile, a crew member in the woods confirms to his boss, Mr. Fang Ning, that their promotional video is out. Mr. Fang Ning sits confidently, explaining that 1 million views is all it takes to make a viral hit. He flashes a charming smile, commending his subordinate for their excellent work. He then entrusts the live broadcast to director Wang, who reluctantly agrees due to a recent slump in business. The film crew, however, questions this sudden shift from their usual low-budget gigs to a wilderness shoot. Suddenly, an assistant rushes towards the director with an urgent update. He reports their hired actress is having second thoughts, spooked by the remote location and refusing to come. The director, furious at the delay, demands they get her to the set immediately for the live show. With the clock ticking down to their 11:30 p.m. start time, the team scrambles to prepare their equipment in the eerie graveyard. Fang Ning watches his professional team at work, internally calculating the massive profits this broadcast will bring. He settles back into his chair, telling the director he'll just play along with the atmosphere, real or not, for the sake of the show. The director's voice echoes through the forest, panicked that their lead actress is missing with only minutes to go. His assistant admits he can't reach her, pushing the furious director to threaten legal action for the no-show. In a wild pivot, the director shoves the red wedding dress at his assistant, making an unexpected casting change. He then kicks the stunned young man forward, ordering him to learn the script and not ruin the broadcast. The unwilling new star looks back in utter shock, unable to process his sudden promotion. Just then, he spots a figure on the slope, pointing her out as the actress who has finally arrived. A mysterious woman glides down the stone steps, surrounded by an eerie glow and a flurry of dark feathers. The crew is baffled, noting her costume is far more authentic and expensive than the one they had prepared. With their actress now in position, the team gives Fang Ning the signal that the show is ready to begin. The live feed is connected, and as the moon watches over the graveyard, Fang Ning prepares to execute his master plan. The mysterious woman in red adjusts her veil, pleased with how the scene is set. With a snap of his fingers, Fang Ning confidently launches the live broadcast. His professional crew immediately gets to work, bathing the scene in an eerie blue light. As the stream goes live, viewers flood the chat, questioning the set's authenticity while admiring the host. Fang Ning sets the scene for his audience, pointing to the glowing tomb and detailing its haunted history. He internally celebrates the stream's popularity, seeing it as a gold mine before announcing the exploration will begin. He confidently approaches the tomb, while viewers in the chat confirm its authenticity from news photos. From the crew's perspective, he continues his dramatic retelling of the legend for the camera. Putting on a convincing performance, he acts startled by an unseen force, sending the live chat into a frenzy. Suddenly, a mysterious black crystal plummets into view as the live chat erupts with panicked messages. The director gives a thumbs up, praising the perfect execution of the special effect. He commends Fang Ning's convincing performance, believing his investment in a professional actor is paying off. An assistant interrupts with urgent news, but the director is annoyed by the distraction during their peak moment. His annoyance turns to glee as he sees the stream has gone viral, breaking 1 million views and hitting the top 10 charts. The director fantasizes about the massive profits and viewer donations pouring in from their successful broadcast. Snapping back to reality, he angrily shoos his assistant away, refusing any interruptions that might jeopardize his payday. He barks into his walkie-talkie, ordering Fang Ning to proceed with the script as midnight approaches. A bored crew member scoffs at the director's theatrics, finding the walkie-talkie use ridiculous for their tiny team. Another crewman realizes a critical detail, reporting that the mysterious actress never received her communication earpiece. A sudden, powerful gust of wind sweeps through the set, putting the entire crew on high alert. A crew member wipes his brow, baffled by the abrupt and unsettling change in the weather. His confusion turns to sheer panic as he desperately tries to get the director's attention. He points frantically towards the tomb, realizing the mysterious actress has completely vanished. The furious director dismisses the warning, lashing out at his assistant and insisting the actress is just hiding off script. Ignoring the unfolding chaos, the director calmly radios Fang Ning to prepare for the next scene. With steely resolve, Fang Ning prepares to lead the exploration further up the mountain slope. He continues his performance for the live stream, admitting to his audience that the wind has him feeling genuinely spooked. He deepens the act, looking into the distance and pondering aloud if the legend of the ghost princess is true after all. As he walks into a swirling, ethereal mist, the live chat floods with a mix of taunts and terrified warnings. He turns back with a knowing smirk, completely unfazed as the panicked director tries to intervene in the background. The director furiously grabs his assistant, demanding to know why he's being interrupted during the broadcast. His assistant shows him a text message confirming their hired actress fell asleep and is a no-show. The director freezes, a cold sweat forming as the horrifying implication of this news dawns on him. He realizes with sheer terror that the woman on the hillside is not part of their production. Unaware of the crew's panic, Fang Ning coolly questions the identity of the mysterious figure. The woman stands ominously atop the tomb, a true spectre in the eerie green glow of the graveyard. Her hood shifts, revealing ethereal silver hair and piercing red eyes that seem to glow in the dark. She now confronts Fang Ning directly, who sits caught in the spotlight of a show that has spiraled out of control. Fang Ning's eyes widen, still believing she's a performer and marveling at her professional stealth. His composure finally breaks as he looks up, genuinely unnerved, and asks the silent woman who she is. The director grabs his assistant in a panic, demanding to know who the woman is if their hired actress never arrived. A frantic voice buzzes through the director's earpiece as the horrifying reality of their situation sinks in. A terrified cameraman stammers into his mic, pointing out a chilling detail he's captured through his lens. The crew huddles around the monitor, their eyes fixed on the mysterious woman's feet as seen on the live feed. The director and his assistant recoil in pure, unadulterated terror at what they witness on the screen. The livestream shows the woman floating ominously in midair, sending the chat into a frenzy of disbelief and fear. Staring at the monitor, the director finally accepts they may have encountered the actual ghost from the legend. The camera focuses on the spectral figure, seemingly confirming she is the fabled princess of the lost dynasty. The crew debates in a panicked huddle, unable to comprehend how their equipment is capturing a genuine supernatural being. Fang Ning, his bravado gone, confronts the floating specter and warns her to stay away. Fang Ning recoils in terror, holding up his hands to ward off the approaching specter. But his fear quickly turns to admiration, believing this is all part of the director's professional production. He internally praises the high-quality costume and striking white hair, completely convinced it's an act. Convinced he's hit the jackpot with this crew, he leaps into a dramatic pose, ready to perform his part. He grabs a flashlight, defiantly shining it forward to show he's not afraid of the ghost. With a renewed smirk, he boasts that a mere ghost is no match for him, playing the brave hero for his audience. The livestream chat explodes with comments, most viewers convinced it's all scripted as Fang Ning gives a confident thumbs up. Meanwhile, the director and his crew watch in bug-eyed horror, wondering if their host has completely lost his mind. The chat's skepticism turns to genuine fear as they notice the spectral woman's nails seem to be growing longer. A terrifying close-up reveals her fingers have transformed into sharp, menacing claws, confirming the viewer's worst fears. The director frantically radios Fang Ning, screaming that they've encountered a real ghost and he needs to retreat. An assistant reports a sudden electromagnetic disturbance has completely cut off their communication with the host. A terrified crewman begs the director to abandon their host and flee the cursed grounds immediately. A terrifying wave of spectral energy and dark feathers erupts, sending the entire film crew scrambling for their lives. The powerful blast knocks the director and his remaining crew members violently to the ground. Overcome with terror, the crew prostrates themselves on the forest floor, pleading for mercy. Meanwhile, the spectral princess seizes Fang Ning by the throat, who struggles against her unyielding grip. As she holds him effortlessly, he manages to slap a yellow talisman onto her forehead. A close-up of his eye reflects the scene, revealing his cool-headed determination in the face of true danger. The talisman seems to work, freezing the ghost princess in place with a look of stunned annoyance. Fang Ning's fear melts away, replaced by a sudden, captivated admiration for the ghost's appearance. The livestream chat explodes, with viewers falling in love with the beautiful ghost, oblivious to the danger. His delusion shatters as he struggles against her impossible strength, questioning why she's deviating from the script. Viewers finally grasp the terrifying reality as they witness the princess floating, confirming the legend is true. The pressure on his throat intensifies, and he realizes with dawning horror that this is no act. Elsewhere, the terrified film crew remains frozen on the ground, trapped by the spectral energy. The director stares into the darkness, convinced their doom is sealed. His assistant pleads for a plan, but the director points out their hopeless situation against the supernatural force. Suddenly, the ghost's grip on Fang Ning's neck begins to loosen, though he remains trapped. A look of intense concentration crosses Fang Ning's face as he prepares his next move. As his consciousness fades, Fang Ning feels himself sinking into a deep, dark abyss. He tumbles through an ethereal void, a distant light offering the only glimmer of hope. Snapping back to his senses, he channels a burst of golden energy through the prayer beads on his wrist. His eyes fly open with a jolt as he returns to the terrifying reality of the graveyard. Still in her grasp, he internally fumes at the actress for ruining his broadcast with her unprofessional performance. The ghost princess simply stares at his glowing wrist, unfazed by his anger or the talisman on her head. With a flick of her wrist, she unleashes a powerful blast that sends him hurtling through the air. He crashes to the ground, coughing and gasping for breath after the forceful impact. Clutching his throat, the terrifying realization dawns that he was nearly strangled for real. Yet he stands up and furiously confronts the spectre, still convinced she's just a bad actor on a rogue film crew. He refuses to let his meticulously planned broadcast fail, his determination hardening despite the danger. The reality sinks in that a genuine ghost princess haunts this tomb, and she's staring right at him. With a wild grin, he decides that if he's going to die, he'll do something he's never dared to do before. He smoothly ties his hair back, telling his audience that dying for love is a romantic end. With a confident thumbs up, he declares to the camera that today he's going all out. He plants his foot firmly on the ground, steeling himself for his next audacious move. In a shocking turn, he drops to one knee before the spectral princess. He calmly asks her to let go of her ancient obsession, a gentle smile on his face. From his pocket, he produces a red box, revealing a stunning luminescent ring. Looking her directly in the eyes, he proposes marriage to the 1,000-year-old ghost. The film crew is left utterly thunderstruck by Fang Ning's audacious marriage proposal. Meanwhile, the livestream chat explodes with viewers calling him a legend for trying to woo a ghost. Fang Ning internally celebrates, knowing this shocking twist will push his broadcast to its absolute peak. The ghost princess appears momentarily confused by his offer, the talisman still stuck to her forehead. A close-up on her eye reveals a flicker of an unexpected emotion, a hint of a blush on her cheek. In a swirl of spectral energy, she reaches out and takes the ring box from his hand. Fang Ning's confidence wavers as he wonders why the actress is deviating from the script. The spectre leans in close, her face inches from his, catching him completely off guard. She then dips him backward in a dramatic, almost romantic gesture, surrounded by an ethereal glow. Holding the ring, she finally speaks, questioning the timing of his sudden proposal. Fang Ning is bewildered by the princess's question, a single tear tracing his cheek. The ghost princess, tears streaming from her crimson eyes, expresses her long wait. A surge of energy erupts as she accepts the ring, leaving Fang Ning stunned. Fang Ning, amidst the chaotic energy, questions the source of the sudden upheaval. The princess, talisman still affixed, accuses Fang Ning of abandoning her in the chaos. The film crew is swept away by a powerful unseen force. The director and his team are thrown around like ragdolls by the spectral energy. A mysterious purple energy emanates from beneath the princess's dress. A shadowy, monstrous figure emerges from the purple energy, startling Fang Ning. The princess's face is partially obscured by a shadowy corruption as the monstrous figure looms. The livestream feed glitches violently, showing a distorted image of Fang Ning as panicked viewers flood the chat. He finally breaks, realizing the monstrous entity is no special effect and he's running for his life. His fear is quickly replaced by a desperate will to survive, driven by his unfinished financial ambitions. The ghost princess cries out in anguish, clutching the ring box and begging not to be abandoned again. Her desperate plea strikes a chord with Fang Ning, his expression shifting to one of sudden understanding. A painful memory surfaces, showing his own parents leaving him behind with false promises of their return. He recalls the harsh reality of his childhood, forced to endure cruelty and neglect after being abandoned. The flashback shows him crying himself to sleep, clinging to the hope that his parents would come back. His memory culminates in a moment of pure desperation, echoing the ghost's own plea not to be left alone. Returning to the present, he looks at the spectral princess with newfound empathy, seeing their shared trauma of abandonment. He reaches out with newfound empathy, gently comforting the spectral princess. He then takes the ring from its box and slides it onto her finger, sealing his promise. Fang Ning pulls her into a firm embrace, holding the ancient ghost close. He assures her that he has returned, ready to fulfill his unexpected proposal. The princess looks up in stunned silence, her crimson eyes wide with disbelief and a hint of a blush. Suddenly, a violent blast of energy erupts from her, sending Fang Ning hurtling through the air. He crashes violently to the ground, the force of the impact knocking him unconscious. The film crew gathers around his fallen form, their faces filled with worry and confusion. He slowly awakens, bruised and disoriented, as his crew expresses their immense relief. Sitting up, he clutches his head and asks the director what happened, his memory of the event a complete blank. He urgently asks his crew about the fate of the female ghost. The director and his team exchange baffled looks, unable to answer. The director explains that a powerful gust of wind knocked them all unconscious, leaving them with no memory of the aftermath. An assistant reports their camera fell and the livestream was cut, leaving no footage of the final confrontation. A fragmented memory of the spectral princess flashes through his mind as he struggles to piece together the night's events. He brushes it off, assuming he fainted with the crew, and notes how harmless the tomb seems in the daylight. The director excitedly reveals the broadcast was a massive success, gaining him thousands of followers and a hefty revenue. Fang Ning celebrates his earnings as the director promises to send the video file for him to edit and gain even more fans. Thrilled with the results, Fang Ning assures the director of a generous cut and a continued partnership. With the chaotic night behind them, he decides it's time for everyone to head home and get some rest. The director enthusiastically rallies his crew, who eagerly agree to his command. The scene shifts to a rundown apartment complex bathed in the golden light of dusk. Fang Ning arrives home, looking weary but stylish as he approaches the old building. He tiredly makes his way up the graffiti-covered stairs of his apartment block. In the dimly lit hallway, he kneels to retrieve something hidden near his door. Inside his surprisingly neat apartment, he takes a moment to gaze out the window. He cracks open a cold soda, taking a long, satisfying drink to unwind. Finally, he collapses onto his couch, resting after the chaotic and profitable night. A phone screen reveals the edited video has already surpassed 100,000 views in just 30 minutes. The comment section is flooded with praise, skepticism, and demands to know more about the beautiful ghost actress. He smirks, confident that this instant hit is his ticket to becoming a top-tier influencer. A sudden memory of the ghost princess flashes in his mind, and he realizes he never even learned her name. Shaking off his fatigue, he briefly wonders if his ghostly fiancée might have actually followed him home. He quickly dismisses the thought, reassuring himself that her powerful resentment likely binds her to the tomb. Exhausted, he collapses onto his bed, concluding she must have returned to her grave with the sunrise. His mind is already racing, plotting how to leverage his newfound fame into a continuous stream of cash. With his plans in motion, he drifts off to sleep, a faint golden aura shimmering around him. Hours pass, and the moonlight streams through his window, illuminating the quiet room. Suddenly, his eyes snap open, a sharp awareness cutting through his sleep. Glancing at his phone, he questions the time, confused as to why he passed out so early. He reaches for his phone, trying to grasp the situation as he wakes. His eyes fly open in sudden, sharp realization. He looks up to find the spectral princess looming directly over his bed. The ghost, talisman still on her forehead, stands over him with an ethereal glow. His mind reels with confusion, unable to process the impossible sight. He jolts upright, questioning whether he's still trapped in a nightmare. He tries to rationalize the encounter as a dream born from the day's events. Believing he can control this dream, he concentrates, trying to will her away. He cautiously peeks, expecting to find his room completely empty. To his dismay, the ghost princess remains, looking back at him with a puzzled expression. He panics, realizing his attempt to will her away has utterly failed. The ghost princess simply tilts her head, looking completely perplexed by his strange behavior. He clutches his head in frustration, convinced he's trapped in an inescapable nightmare. Suddenly, an idea strikes him, a foolproof method to test if he's actually dreaming. With a confident smirk, he grabs his finger, ready to bend it backward as a painless test of reality. Outside, two strange, spiky creatures are seen on a tree branch in the pouring rain. He yelps in agony as his finger throbs with real pain, much to the ghost's confusion. The sharp, undeniable pain shatters his delusion, forcing him to accept the terrifying truth. In a state of utter disbelief, he cautiously pokes the spectral princess, confirming her solid presence. His terror finally peaks as he points at her, convinced she has followed him home to end his life. He's stunned to find her gently holding his hand, realizing she might not be there to harm him. The ghost princess explains with a soft smile that she simply came to see him, her new ring gleaming on her finger. Utterly bewildered, he questions why a total stranger would seek him out in his own home. She blushes and clarifies their relationship, affectionately referring to him as her husband. The bizarre situation finally clicks for Fangning as he realizes she genuinely believes they are married. Her mood shifts dramatically as a menacing aura erupts, questioning how he could possibly have forgotten her. He frantically tries to backpedal, attempting to explain the events of the previous night without angering her further. A monstrous shadow with glowing red eyes manifests behind her, amplifying her terrifying presence. Overcome with fear, his survival instincts kick in, and he vows to do anything to stay alive. He quickly changes his tune, grabbing her hand and assuring her with a strained smile that he remembers everything perfectly. He smoothly changes tactics, asking the ghost princess for her name with a disarming smile. She introduces herself as Zhang Li, and he quickly plays along as if he remembered it all along. His quick thinking pays off as she beams with happiness, while he internally breathes a sigh of relief. He finds himself blushing, momentarily captivated by her beauty and questioning his own feelings. Regaining his composure, he asks how she managed to travel so far from her tomb to his apartment. Instead of answering, she demonstrates her power by floating in midair, surrounded by a vibrant green aura. She then transforms into a streak of spectral energy and shoots directly towards a stunned Fang Ning. The green light merges with his body, leaving him frozen in place as he processes the bizarre event. He looks around in confusion, noticing his necklace is now glowing as he wonders what just transpired. Frantically searching his room, he realizes the ghost princess has completely disappeared, leaving him alone and baffled. He screams in terror as her spectral form emerges from his necklace, explaining she's now inside him. A powerful blast of green energy erupts from his mouth, forcefully expelling her. The ghost princess tumbles out onto the floor in a daze as he watches in stunned silence. She recovers quickly, lounging casually on his desk with a bored expression. Fang Ning's fear subsides, replaced by the thought that his ghostly wife is actually quite cute. Zhang Li gets up and curiously inspects his bed, seemingly unfamiliar with modern furniture. Her exploration is cut short as she trips and falls again, much to his bewilderment. He points out that her ancient robes must be difficult to move in, suggesting she change. The ghost princess looks down with a bashful expression, seemingly flustered by his suggestion. She closes her eyes and concentrates, her ring glowing as she prepares to use her powers. A swirl of green energy envelops the ghost princess as she prepares to change her attire. He watches with a knowing smile, wondering if this is the legendary transformation spell he's read about. In a flash of brilliant light, her ancient robes disappear, leaving her shrouded only by ethereal clouds. The startling sight sends him flying backward, comically overwhelmed by the unexpected reveal. The ghost princess looks on with innocent confusion, asking her husband why his nose is bleeding. In a flustered panic, he throws one of his own shirts at her, demanding she put it on immediately. He sits blushing, completely flustered as he wonders if this naive ghost is trying to claim his innocence. After giving her a moment to change, he cautiously asks if she's ready. He looks up from the couch, getting a surprising view as she stands directly over him. Now wearing his shirt, she blushes and asks her husband if this is the proper way to dress. Flustered, he frantically adjusts her shirt, insisting she cover up properly. He breathes a sigh of relief, while the ghost princess strikes an innocent pose, Talisman still on her head. She looks down, complaining that his shirt is uncomfortably tight on her. He awkwardly explains the fit, before asking if she truly plans on staying with him as his wife. She eagerly agrees, declaring her complete devotion and readiness to follow his every command. He reels from the reality of the situation, still struggling to believe the legendary princess is now his live-in ghost wife. With a sigh of resignation, he seems to accept his bizarre new reality. He turns and tells her to follow him, leading the way out of the bedroom. He internally weighs the pros and cons, deciding he needs to test her loyalty since ghosts can be deceptive. In the bathroom, she marvels at her own reflection, innocently asking why he brought her to this strange room. He reminds her of her vow to obey him, ready to test her loyalty. She blushes and eagerly reaffirms her devotion, calling him her husband. A sly smile spreads across his face as he prepares to give his first command. The ghost princess looks back with a mix of confusion and nervous anticipation. He reveals his first command. She must learn the modern ritual of brushing her teeth. He patiently demonstrates how to apply toothpaste, promising to buy her her own brush later. He explains the full process from brushing to rinsing as she listens with wide-eyed confusion. She suddenly leans in and licks the toothpaste directly off his brush, leaving him utterly stunned. Misunderstanding his instructions, she curiously tastes the minty paste. She then holds the brush in her mouth, innocently asking if this is the correct way to clean her teeth. He panics, realizing the ghost princess just used his toothbrush, which he considers an indirect kiss. She then takes the cup to rinse, proving to be a surprisingly quick learner. He watches as she diligently follows his instructions, brushing her teeth at the sink. The ancient princess seems to be adapting to modern hygiene rituals with ease. She turns to him for approval, asking if she performed the task correctly. He's momentarily speechless, completely captivated by her stunning appearance. Blushing, he decides she has passed his loyalty test with flying colors. He takes back his toothbrush, firmly establishing some ground rules for their cohabitation. He promises to buy her a new one if she intends to stay, as she finishes the ritual. She thanks him sweetly, and he finds himself patting her head, charmed by her apology. He questions her certainty about their relationship, gently touching the talisman on her forehead. The ghost princess admits she has amnesia, only remembering that he is her husband and she has waited for him endlessly. She touches the talisman on her head, a flicker of confusion crossing her face as he watches her thoughtfully. The princess then recalls she was searching for something important, though the memory remains frustratingly out of reach. He internally questions if her memory loss is the reason she sought him out, suspecting a deeper motive. Staring at her reflection, she grows frustrated by the gaps in her memory. She vaguely recalls having something on her head, wondering if it was a hairpin. He realizes he's been dragged into a supernatural situation far beyond his control. Needing a moment to think, he dismisses her from the bathroom, promising to join her shortly. He ponders the nature of ghosts, suspecting her amnesia is tied to some critical, unfinished business. He turns with a start, a bead of sweat on his face as he processes her words. He looks down to find the ghost princess peering at him from behind, her red eyes fixed on him. With a forced smile, he asks her what she is doing just standing there. She blushes and explains that she is simply waiting for her husband. The two stand in awkward silence, both completely bewildered by the situation. In a sudden move, he swiftly ushers the surprised ghost princess out of the room. He slams the door shut, ordering her to wait outside as she looks up in confusion. Alone in the bathroom, he breathes a heavy sigh of relief, glad to have a moment to himself. He leans against the toilet, wondering if her innocent act is just a clever ruse to hide her true intentions. Yet, he can't help but blush as he recalls her beauty and the fact she calls him her husband. He realizes that unlike the romantic legends, his human-ghost relationship is far from a fairy tale. Resolved, he decides he must find a way to make the ghost princess leave his apartment as soon as possible. He puts on a charming smile and opens the door, ready to put his plan into action. But his confident demeanor shatters as he freezes in utter shock at the scene before him. He finds the ghost princess casually lounging on his bed, engrossed in some reading material. His horror grows as he realizes she's discovered one of his private hidden magazines. He lunges to snatch it back, but she playfully floats out of his reach, still clutching her newfound treasure. Completely flustered, he demands to know where she found the inappropriate literature. She innocently reveals she discovered it under his bed, leaving him utterly mortified. With wide-eyed curiosity, she asks if the activities depicted in the magazine are something she is now expected to do with him. He's completely mortified, his mind racing at the implications of her innocent question. He desperately tries to retrieve the book, cursing the day he acquired it as she easily evades him. The ghost princess studies a page with innocent curiosity, completely misunderstanding the context of the image. Fang Ning finally snatches the magazine back, sternly forbidding her from looking at the forbidden literature. He lectures her about personal boundaries, hiding behind the couch like a scolded child. She sits meekly on the bed and agrees, her innocent expression making it hard for him to stay angry. Changing the subject, he brings up her amnesia, hoping to steer the conversation to safer ground. She suddenly closes the distance between them, her intense gaze catching him completely off guard. He stumbles backward, flustered by her proximity and telling her not to look at him so strangely. The ghost princess recalls the censored images, innocently pointing out that the poses in the book seem different from reality. A mischievous glint appears in the ghost princess's eyes as she has a sudden, brilliant idea. She lunges towards a stunned Fang Ning, attempting to follow the magazine's instructions. The princess explains she's simply following the book's first step for a married couple. A flustered Fang Ning frantically tells her to ignore the magazine's questionable advice. She insists with a determined pout that such actions are reserved only for her husband. He leaps away in a panic, trying to put distance between himself and his overly eager ghost wife. He nervously suggests they talk things over, internally desperate to protect his innocence. His mind wavers between fear and a strange sense of anticipation about the situation. The ghost princess obediently sits on the bed, patiently waiting for his next command. Her sudden compliance leaves Fang Ning feeling an unexpected and confusing wave of frustration. He frantically tries to clear his mind of inappropriate thoughts as the ghost princess watches in confusion. Regaining his composure, he attempts to steer the conversation back to the serious topic of her lost memories. The princess has a sudden, misguided realization, connecting the magazine's content to her current situation. She begins to remove her shirt in a flash of light, leaving Fang Ning utterly horrified by her misunderstanding. With a determined blush, she believes this bold move is the key to making him accept her as his wife. She closes the distance between them, asking for his affection while he is pinned against the wall, completely flustered. Their faces are inches apart as he desperately tries to reject her advances, his resolve weakening. In a last-ditch effort, he throws another shirt at her, frantically demanding she dress more appropriately. She awkwardly puts on the new shirt, still looking disheveled as he turns away in exasperation. He finally sets a firm boundary, stating he'll only accept her if she abandons her misguided attempts at romance. The ghost princess meekly agrees to his conditions, now dressed in his clothes. He asks why she can't magically conjure new attire, and she admits she can't create things from nothing. Blushing, she buries her face in the shirt, confessing she likes it because it carries his scent. A completely flustered Fang Ning orders her to stop, holding up a hand to maintain his personal space. He calms down and begins to analyze the situation, recalling that ghosts are typically invisible. His suspicion grows as he directly questions whether Jiang Li is actually a ghost at all. The princess looks genuinely confused by the term, as if she's never heard it before. She puffs her cheeks out in frustration, denying that she's a ghost, prompting him to ask what she is. Jiang Li falls silent, unable to provide an answer about her own identity. He theorizes she might be a manifestation of a powerful emotion, and resolves to find her lost hairpin to help her move on. He asks about her lost hairpin, but she grabs his sleeve, unable to remember where she lost it. Her train of thought is interrupted as she looks up at him, cutely declaring that she's hungry. Surprised that a ghost can feel hunger, he takes her hand and leads her to the kitchen. He opens the fridge, still questioning whether a supernatural being can even consume human food. Finding nothing else, he offers her a large piece of flatbread from his meager supplies. The princess stares at the offering with a mix of curiosity and anticipation. She takes a determined bite, chomping down on the bread with surprising gusto. After a single bite, she offers the rest back, explaining that it's not nearly enough to satisfy her. He realizes that even ghosts require energy to exist, but human food clearly isn't the right source. He asks what she needs to eat, a sudden fear gripping him as he wonders if she'll drain his life force instead. The ghost princess suddenly senses something outside, the talisman on her head glowing faintly. She excitedly tells Fang Ning she's found a source of delicious food nearby, much to his confusion. He peers out the window, trying to pinpoint the source of this supposed food. Before he can react, her hands grip his shoulders with surprising strength. She unceremoniously lifts him up and flies them both straight out of the apartment window. He panics midair, completely bewildered as she carries him over the glowing city skyline. Still in her grasp, he frantically protests their impromptu flight, worried about his inappropriate footwear. The pair soars through the night sky like a comet, heading towards a distant moonlit forest. Upon landing, he discovers his shoes have been magically swapped for a sturdier pair. He leans against a tree, feeling sick from the journey, as the princess stands ready in the dark woods. Still reeling from the flight, a nauseous Fang Ning demands to know where they've landed. His eyes widen in sudden dawning recognition as he takes in their surroundings. They stand before a derelict school, shrouded in a sinister red aura and swarming with spectral crows. The abandoned Hai Yuan Elementary School looms ominously under the pale moonlight. The ghost princess floats casually, identifying the school with a flicker of familiarity. Fang Ning surveys a massive pile of rubble, sensing that something is deeply wrong with this place. He quickly pulls out his phone, a look of disbelief crossing his face as he checks their location on a map. The map confirms their location, pinpointing them in the infamous Haiyuan village. He's stunned, recalling news reports about the village and realizing it's just a few kilometers from his apartment. A memory surfaces of a company buying the land for an amusement park, forcing all the residents to relocate. He recalls the project was halted by a series of grim and unexplained accidents, causing the entire village to be abandoned. He nervously questions Zhang Li's motive for bringing him to such a notoriously haunted place. The ghost princess excitedly points to the school, declaring it's full of delicious food, much to his horror. A horrifying realization dawns on him. Her idea of food is the malevolent spirits haunting the school. He tries to send her in alone, but she refuses to leave her husband behind, much to his dismay. She firmly grabs his shoulder, her red eyes showing she has no intention of going without him. With no other choice, he reluctantly agrees to accompany her as she pushes him toward the derelict school gate. Clinging to his arm, she eagerly anticipates her spectral meal, leaving him to face the unknown dangers inside. His memory is jogged by a news report about a student who mysteriously vanished from the school a decade ago. He recalls the tragic case of a 6th grader named Xiang, whose disappearance was reported by her distraught parents. He remembers the police search for Xiang was fruitless, as if she had simply vanished into thin air. A month later, her body mysteriously reappeared in the middle of the school, horrifying everyone present. The investigation concluded she had been deceased for a month, yet her body materialized without a single trace. The grim tale continued with the school's manager taking his own life on the premises shortly after. These chilling events cemented the school's haunted reputation, leaving it abandoned to this day. Connecting the grim history, Fang Ning grows increasingly anxious about what awaits them inside. Meanwhile, Zhang Li excitedly senses the food all around them, oblivious to his growing dread. He cautiously suggests they turn back, but the ghost princess seems to have other plans. Her playful demeanor vanishes, replaced by a threatening glare that makes him quickly retract his suggestion. Alone for a moment, he weighs his options, acknowledging her immense power but questioning her true intentions. A golden hairpin shoots down the dark, menacing school hallway toward the waiting ghost princess. They cautiously proceed through the derelict school, Zhang Li clinging to Fang Ning's arm. The ghost princess excitedly points ahead, having located the source of the spectral energy. Her target is the old manager's office, a room steeped in the school's tragic history. She eagerly flies toward the office, leaving a frantic Fang Ning struggling to keep up. Inside, Zhang Li floats curiously around the dusty, abandoned room as Fang Ning enters behind her. Fang Ning surveys the grim office, a sense of unease washing over him. She excitedly points to the desk, identifying the source of the delicious food she sensed. He discovers an old, ornate comb on the desk and carefully blows the dust from its surface. Examining the comb, he finds it feels cold but otherwise unremarkable, seeing nothing strange in the room. To his shock, the ghost princess floats above him, drawing a strange green energy from the comb. She blissfully inhales the spectral essence as it's pulled from the ornate object. Once drained, the now ordinary comb falls limply into his outstretched hand. The ghost princess beams with pure delight, completely satisfied with her unusual snack. She declares her meal was delicious, leaving him to question what she just consumed. He notices the room's chilling aura has vanished as she explains the comb held spirit energy. She excitedly clarifies that spirit energy is the only food that can satisfy her hunger. He contemplates the implications, realizing the school must truly be haunted if such energy exists here. Zhang Li suddenly senses another source of food, unable to pinpoint its exact location but knowing it's near. Resigned to his fate, he agrees to help her search, following as she eagerly floats ahead. He abruptly stops, a brilliant idea striking him. He realizes this haunted school is the perfect setting for his next viral video. A brilliant plan forms in his mind, combining her needs with his ambitions. He proposes a partnership. She finds spirit energy to eat, and he films it all for cash. The ghost princess looks utterly baffled by his concept of turning their ghost hunt into a business venture. He asks if she can act as his supernatural detector, and she confirms she can sense the direction of the energy. Thrilled by her ability, he eagerly prepares to put his plan into motion, leaving her bewildered. His mind floods with visions of fame and fortune, seeing this as a golden opportunity. He hands her his phone, giving her a quick tutorial on how to be his personal camera woman. She eagerly agrees to her new role, happily calling him her husband as she prepares to film. She skillfully levitates the phone, ready for her new role as camera woman. He pats her head, promising a feast of spirit energy as a reward for her help. The ghost princess cheers with excitement, completely motivated by the promise of food. Fang Ning smirks, realizing his new ghost wife is the ultimate tool for his supernatural exploration videos. He envisions a future of fame and fortune, with viral videos and adoring fans making him rich. After a quick briefing in the derelict hallway, they both agree on the plan. Film first, eat later. He gives her one final, stern instruction to capture everything, no matter how strange it gets. With his ghostly camera operator ready, Fang Ning strikes a confident pose to begin the broadcast. The livestream goes live, and he greets his followers, reintroducing himself to his eager audience. He sets the scene for his viewers, panning across the terrifyingly dark school hallway at 1 a.m. He smirks at the camera, announcing his return to ghost hunting at the infamous Haiyuan school. Standing in the ruins, he explains the school's tragic history, starting with a student's mysterious disappearance 10 years prior. He continues the grim tale, revealing that a string of strange incidents led to the school's eventual demolition and abandonment. With a serious expression, he poses the ultimate question to his viewers. Are these events coincidence, or is this place truly haunted? He leads the virtual tour into the manager's office, dramatically presenting the room as the key to uncovering the truth. As if on cue, the ornate comb levitates, glowing with a sinister red energy for the camera. His ghostly camera woman, Jiang Li, is momentarily distracted, her eyes fixed on the delicious spirit energy she's been promised. She adorably struggles with her hunger, reminding herself that she can't eat the spectral snack just yet. With renewed focus, she resolves to finish her filming duties before she can claim her reward, as Fang Ning continues his narration. He dramatically recounts the manager's demise in the same room, pointing to the comb as a key clue he's discovered. He confidently presents the comb as the central piece of evidence in his ghost story. His performance is cut short as he looks down in confusion, realizing the comb has vanished from his hand. For the viewers, the comb levitates ominously over the desk, glowing with a sinister red aura. He internally panics, realizing Jiang Li must be creating the effect without his instruction. Suddenly, a monstrous hand with sharp red claws grips his wrist with immense force. He turns in alarm, but sees Jiang Li floating peacefully, confirming she is not the one grabbing him. A cold dread washes over him as he realizes another unseen entity has him in its grasp. A terrifying female spirit with hollow black eyes materializes directly behind him. The malevolent spirit pulls him into a chilling embrace as Jiang Li yawns, distracted. Its hand tightens around his throat, cutting off his breath as his live stream continues to roll. He struggles for air, realizing his body is going rigid in the spirit's grasp. Paralyzed by the spirit's power, he silently pleads for Jiang Li to save him. The malevolent entity offers a chilling smile, enjoying his powerlessness. He desperately looks toward his ghostly partner, shocked she hasn't noticed the attack. Meanwhile, Jiang Li is completely absorbed in her filming duties, dreaming of her delicious reward. His strength fails as he mentally begs for help, feeling his life slipping away. His consciousness begins to fade, his vision darkening as he loses the fight. Suddenly, the beaded bracelet on his wrist erupts with a brilliant golden light. A surge of power courses through him, his eyes glowing with newfound energy as he refuses to give up. The attacking spirit reels back in shock, stunned by his unexpected transformation. He seizes the spirit's wrist, his golden aura repelling her dark energy. The malevolent entity reels in disbelief, stunned that a mortal can physically touch her. With a burst of newfound strength, he sends the spirit flying with a powerful kick. The golden light subsides as he collapses to his knees, gasping for air after the assault. He stares at his hands in confusion, questioning the source of this incredible power. The defeated spirit looks up from the rubble, questioning why he would turn on her. Her claws dig into the floor as she gathers her strength for another furious assault. Enraged, she launches herself at him in a vortex of vengeful energy. A voice urgently echoes in his mind, warning him to get down immediately. He instinctively drops to the ground, narrowly dodging the spirit's high-speed attack. He's amazed by his own body's newfound agility as the spirit watches him from a distance. The vengeful spirit suddenly turns and flees, leaving him confused by her sudden retreat. She rushes towards an old wooden locker at the back of the room, seeking an escape. The spirit phases through the solid door, attempting to hide inside the locker. Zhongli telepathically encourages him to practice his new skills, still casually filming the encounter. He looks at his glowing hand, realizing his ghostly partner must have granted him this strange power. A confident smirk spreads across his face as he decides to use this power for his livestream. He lunges forward, unleashing a powerful strike against the startled spirit. The spirit desperately tries to block his attack, sensing the danger in his empowered state. He successfully grabs her, vowing not to let her escape, as the success of his video depends on it. He unleashes a final devastating strike, slamming the spirit against the crumbling wall. Pinning her down, he confidently declares that her escape is impossible. The spirit's menacing demeanor shifts, replaced by a subtle, calculating smile. In a flash of light, she magically alters her form, becoming far more alluring. Fongning is completely stunned by her sudden and unexpected transformation. The once terrifying entity now looks at him with a captivating and mischievous gaze. She pulls him close, her tone shifting from hostile to seductive as she asks for her freedom. Leaning in, she whispers a tempting offer directly into his ear. The spirit promises to do anything he desires if he agrees to release her. She makes a final, provocative move, attempting to seal the deal with her charm. He blushes, momentarily enjoying the spirit's surprisingly comfortable embrace. His brief enjoyment turns to alarm as he snaps back to his senses. Suddenly, a furious Zhang Li appears behind him, her eyes glowing with jealousy. He shoves the seductive spirit away, scolding her for her inappropriate advances. The spirit looks bewildered, confused by his sudden and illogical outburst. Fongning reaffirms his resolve, vowing that her tricks will not break his will. As if to punish him, Zhang Li sends him flying with a powerful whip-like attack. The defeated spirit now looks tearful, begging him to believe she means no harm. She leans in and exhales a strange, alluring mist directly into his face. He panics, steam comically erupting from his head as he realizes he's been affected by her power. He tries to pull away, but the spirit's touch drains his energy with a dark, inky aura. She reveals her deception, gloating that her seductive act was just a ruse to absorb his spiritual power. Now twice as strong, she unleashes a devastating blow that sends him reeling across the room. He's sent tumbling to the floor, completely overpowered by her sudden surge in strength. He staggers to his feet, revealing deep claw marks on his back as she mockingly watches him. The spirit thanks him for the meal, her power now visibly amplified by his stolen energy. Confident in her victory, she lunges forward at incredible speed, declaring his escape is impossible. He surprisingly manages to parry her rapid strikes, blocking her attack with newfound speed. The spirit is stunned, unable to comprehend how his speed is suddenly increasing. He pivots and unleashes a powerful counterattack, sending the shocked spirit flying backward. The enraged spirit lunges forward, her claws aimed directly at his face. He effortlessly blocks her furious assault, the impact echoing through the room. With a confident smirk, he seizes her wrist, taunting her for thinking she could escape. She screams in pure rage, unable to comprehend how a mortal could overpower her. He interrupts her tirade with a sharp slap, scolding her for her violent tendencies. The spirit is left speechless, her menacing expression replaced by one of utter shock. In a comedic shift, he lectures the dazed spirit about the damage she's done to his body. He slams her onto the desk, dramatically declaring his mission to bring justice to the haunted school. Meanwhile, his phone captures the entire epic battle for his livestream viewers. His ghostly camerawoman, Zhang Li, happily continues to film, delighted by the action-packed content. With a single breath, Zhang Li consumes the spirit's dark energy, leaving it powerless. She licks her lips with a blissful expression, completely satisfied with her spectral snack. Fang Ning turns his attention to the now weakened spirit, demanding to know her true identity. The spirit looks down in despair, tears streaming from her hollow eyes as she clutches his sleeve. Her sudden crying fit leaves him completely flustered, worried it makes him look like the villain on his own live stream. She collapses to the floor in a heap, sobbing uncontrollably as dark energy swirls around her. The menacing aura vanishes as she transforms, revealing the form of a young, familiar-looking girl. He recognizes her as Lian Xiang, the student who vanished years ago, and she tearfully asks if he remembers her. She apologizes for her earlier attack, leaving him stunned by this unexpected turn of events. Seeing a golden opportunity for his stream, he immediately begins interrogating her about the school's mysteries. He presses the distraught spirit for information, asking if other entities haunt the school. Through her tears, she reveals that a man forced her into her tragic fate. A dark memory reveals a cruel man, and Fang Ning's anger flares at the thought of someone harming the young girl. He pulls her into a protective embrace, promising to help her find justice. With a confident smile, he reassures the spirit that he will stand by his word. As she prepares to reveal her tormentor's identity, her demeanor suddenly changes. A massive surge of dark energy erupts from her body, catching Fang Ning completely by surprise. He desperately reaches for her as the force blasts him backward across the room. The spirit is violently pulled into a swirling vortex, crying out for him to help her. Her face fills with terror as she's dragged into the darkness, begging to be saved. He braces himself as a torrent of dark tendrils erupts from the vortex, blasting him away. Stunned and battered, he questions the source of this overwhelming dark power. A monstrous male spirit emerges, roaring with fury and accusing him of harming the girl. The hulking entity lunges forward, its fist covered in tormented faces, aiming to obliterate him. Fang Ning grits his teeth, realizing he's facing a far more powerful and terrifying foe. Zhongli instantly teleports in front of him, her eyes glowing with rage as she moves to protect her husband. She effortlessly conjures a green energy shield, blocking the monster's colossal punch. Despite the shield, the shockwave sends Fang Ning flying, slamming him brutally into the wall. He collapses to the floor, completely incapacitated by the sheer force of the blow. Zhongli turns with a worried expression, her attention now on her fallen husband. A look of pure fury crosses Zhongli's face as she sees her husband has been harmed. The monstrous entity strikes again, sending Zhongli reeling from the force of its dark power. From the ground, a wounded Fang Ning watches in horror, calling out her name. The hulking spirit unleashes a barrage of attacks, but Zhongli stands defiantly against the overwhelming force. Having escaped the battle, she looks back with concern, searching for her unconscious husband. She cradles a passed-out Fang Ning in a tree, having carried him to safety. Her face lights up with relief as he finally begins to stir. He jolts awake, completely disoriented to find himself perched precariously on a high branch. Losing his balance, he lets out a silent scream as he plummets toward the ground. He miraculously stops his fall just inches from the earth, supported by an unseen force. He lands outside the school, realizing with a jolt that Zhang Li has teleported them to safety. His relief quickly turns to concern as he remembers Lian Xiang and the monstrous spirit they left behind. Zhang Li reveals the entity inside is immensely powerful, admitting it's too much for her to handle. She confesses her own spiritual power is too low to challenge such a formidable foe. Changing the subject, she proudly returns his phone, having successfully filmed their entire battle. With her job done, she excitedly prepares to consume a grotesque trophy from their fight, the monster's severed finger. Fang Ning recoils in disgust, demanding to know where she acquired such a horrifying object. She cutely explains she snatched the snack during their hasty escape, presenting it like a prize. He questions how she could possibly consume it, while she simply shakes her head at his ignorance. She then demonstrates inhaling the dark spiritual energy directly from the monstrous appendage. She floats in a state of pure bliss, having found her monstrous snack absolutely delicious. With a satisfied smile, she exhales a rainbow-colored beam of pure spiritual energy. The beam of energy hits Fang Ning, who is stunned to find his exhaustion has completely disappeared. He notes her spiritual body is now more solid, concluding that dark energy is the best way for her to recharge. He questions her about his rescue and the sudden boost to his physical abilities. She begins to reveal that he was the source of his own newfound power. Her explanation is cut short as a strange power surges through her, seemingly suppressing a critical memory. She deflects his questions, insisting they return home first, and he reluctantly agrees. With the sun rising, she playfully leaps onto his back, ready for their journey home. The pair streaks through the dawn sky, returning to the city as a flash of green light. Back in the apartment, he finds a weakened Zhang Li cowering in a dark corner, seemingly affected by the morning light. He confirms his suspicion by pulling back the curtains, proving that spiritual beings are vulnerable to sunlight. For good measure, he flicks on the light switch, flooding the room with brightness. He collapses onto his bed in his tattered clothes, finally breathing a sigh of relief. His moment of peace is shattered as Zhang Li playfully leaps onto his back, demanding they get cozy. Flustered, he tries to push her away, insisting she sit down and give him some space. He questions her pet-like behavior as she sits obediently on the bed, pouting up at him. Her pout quickly turns into a blissful, blushing smile, clearly enjoying his attention. He points out the flimsy curtains won't block the sun for long, questioning her plan for surviving the day.
She confidently reveals her ultimate solution. She can simply hide inside his body.
She proudly announces they've formed a contract, linking her survival directly to his. Fang Ning is completely stunned by her revelation, demanding to know what she's talking about. He denies any knowledge of a contract, but she innocently reminds him of his earlier proposal. She explains their past interactions sealed their bond, reaching out to him as a memory montage plays. Now in acute form, she explains they are one, and he must find her food for her to regain strength. She clarifies their life link. If she doesn't eat enough to sustain herself, her husband will die. The ghost princess thoughtfully considers the grim implication that his death would also mean her own. With renewed determination, she kneels before him and vows to protect her husband at all costs. A sudden realization dawns on Fang Ning, finally understanding the source of his earlier weakness. He connects the dots further, questioning if the surge of power he felt was also a result of their shared bond. She happily confirms that their new bond allows him to harness her spiritual power. She excitedly explains that the more spirit energy she consumes, the more powerful he will become. A confident smirk crosses his face as he realizes the massive implications of their accidental contract. Meanwhile, back at the haunted school, a dark and tragic scene unfolds. The spirit of Xiang is brutally slammed into the ground by the monstrous entity. The hulking spirit looms over the terrified girl, whose hairpin now lies broken on the floor. The entity furiously chastises her for disobeying his command and revealing his existence. Its shadowy hand grips her throat, reminding her that their survival depends on eliminating others. She gasps for air, her face a mask of terror as the entity's grip tightens. The monstrous spirit pulls her into a possessive embrace, declaring she will never be allowed to leave. The terrified girl defiantly refuses to submit to the entity's will. The monstrous spirit vows to destroy Fang Ning and Zhang Li upon their inevitable return. The next morning, Fang Ning casually orders breakfast at his favorite noodle shop. The friendly chef brings him a bowl, noting his unusually early arrival. A large, steaming bowl of beef noodle soup is placed before him, made exactly to his liking. He thanks the chef and eagerly prepares to dig into his delicious-smelling meal. While eating, he mentally asks Zhang Li about her depleted spiritual power. She appears in his mind, confirming she needs to recover her strength by absorbing soul power. Slurping his noodles, he asks what methods can help her regain her energy. She explains that consuming spirit energy or absorbing the fear of others are the keys to her recovery. He mulls over her words while eating, realizing her power surged when she first met him. A chilling thought strikes him. Just like in horror stories, spiritual entities can feed on human fear. He slams his empty bowl down, connecting the fear from his thousands of livestream viewers to Zhang Li's awakening. After finishing his meal, he confidently tells the chef to put it on his tab and promises to pay later. With a renewed sense of purpose, he strikes a cool pose, ready to put his new plan into action. Back at his desk, he theorizes that edited videos could generate fear just as effectively as live streams. Reviewing the footage, he's amazed by Zhang Li's natural talent for camera work, using magic for perfect shots. A smirk crosses his face as he imagines turning the raw footage into a viral hit, a perfect win-win situation for them both. He decides to contact a professional editing team he's worked with before to ensure the video's quality. He turns to speak with Zhang Li, only to find her completely absorbed in playing a game on her phone. He's startled as the ghost princess suddenly gets uncomfortably close, her green aura flaring. She pouts, complaining that his formal way of addressing her feels distant and makes her unhappy. Flustered, he awkwardly tries to come up with a more intimate nickname to appease her. Her face lights up with pure joy at the new name, leaving him feeling completely outmatched by her affection. Getting back to business, he brings up the powerful entity they encountered at the school the previous night. He asks if she's strong enough to deal with the delicious thing, and she eagerly confirms her readiness for a fight. He smirks, laying out his plan to return to the school, film a complete series, and create a viral sensation. He reaffirms his promise to Xiang, determined to uncover the school's dark history and bring her justice. However, Zhongli's expression turns serious as she reveals she can't face the entity without her lost hairpin. He gets excited, but she clarifies that her memory has only just returned, revealing her hairpin was stolen half a year ago. She pleads with him, explaining that her lost hairpin is incredibly important to her. He pats her head, agreeing to help but questioning if the hairpin alone can defeat the powerful entity. She confidently confirms that with the hairpin, she'll have enough power to consume the monstrous spirit. He scratches his head in frustration, admitting he has no idea how to find it, but she recalls 3 tomb raiders. She reveals that while 2 of the raiders were driven mad by her power, a third escaped with the hairpin. He worries the thief has long since left the city, but she reveals her newfound power allows her to faintly sense the hairpin's location nearby. Energized by this new lead, he lays out their plan: find the hairpin, power her up, and return to the school for their grand finale. The adorable ghost princess eagerly agrees, motivated by the thought of consuming the powerful entity at the school. Deciding time is of the essence, he prepares to search for information on the tomb raiders who stole her hairpin. His investigation is cut short as his phone suddenly lights up with an incoming call, catching him by surprise. He looks at his phone, assuming it's Director Wang calling about the freshly edited video. Instead, he finds a police alert about a string of vicious assaults, adding to his sense that the world is growing stranger. The scene shifts to the sleek Xiang Financial Center, home to a struggling video editing studio. Inside, a stressed-out editor lies slumped over his desk, overwhelmed by the lack of work. His colleague voices their shared anxiety, worrying they'll soon be out of a job and money. Another team member confirms their only recent project was from Fang Ning 2 days ago. The mention of a previous job triggers a panicked memory for one editor, who recalls a terrifying near-death experience. The team contemplates quitting, acknowledging that while their director is kind, the studio is clearly in trouble. As they lament their financial woes, their boss, Director Wang, bursts into the office with an announcement. He triumphantly holds up his phone, joyfully declaring that a flood of new jobs has just arrived. Director Wang watches as his once despondent team is now hard at work. One of the editors, still skeptical, cautiously asks about the details of this new project. The director excitedly reveals the client is none other than Fang Ning, their previous high-risk employer. The editor's face drains of color, flashing back to their terrifying graveyard livestream with him. His colleagues agree, pleading with their boss to refuse the job, but the director clarifies it's only for video editing. He lays out the irresistible offer, a hefty payment up front with a bonus if the video becomes a hit. The skeptical editor pulls up the raw footage, doubting it can stand out in a saturated market of ghost hunting videos. The team agrees that their last adventure was a fluke, but admit that just editing the footage is a much safer prospect. Director Wang grabs his employee, passionately insisting this new footage is different and destined for viral fame. With a determined gleam in his eye, he hits play, convinced this single video could save their studio and shake up the entire industry. The editing team watches the raw footage, their faces filled with apprehension as Fang Ning's introduction plays. One editor suddenly shouts in terror, pointing frantically at the screen as the scene escalates. On screen, the ornate comb floats ominously above the desk, defying all logical explanation. His fear is so intense he grabs his colleague in a panicked chokehold who struggles to breathe. He quickly apologizes, trying to dismiss the levitating object as a simple, unimpressive trick. But his skepticism shatters as the video reveals a terrifying female spirit attacking Fang Ning. The entire team recoils in unison, utterly horrified by the paranormal encounter unfolding on screen. They desperately try to rationalize the footage, questioning if it's just clever CG or a hidden mechanism. The most experienced editor sweats, admitting that in his 10 years he's never seen anything like it and can find no trace of post-production. The video continues, showcasing the entire epic battle, from the girl's tragic story to the clash with the monstrous entity. The video ends, leaving the editing team stunned and admitting the raw footage is genuinely terrifying. They become completely engrossed, questioning the truth behind Lian Xiang's tragic story and the 10-year-old mystery. Director Wang presents his own research, holding up a newspaper clipping that confirms the girl's identity. He rallies his team, convinced this video is their ticket to fame and fortune, especially with a promised bonus. The thought of a massive bonus instantly erases their fear, replaced by visions of wealth. Now fully motivated, the team eagerly gets to work, determined to make the video a viral hit. 4 hours later, the lead editor unveils the final cut, complete with a chilling title card and enhanced effects. Director Wang praises the editor's work, impressed by how much scarier the final version is. Brimming with confidence, the director decides to skip the review process and upload the video immediately. A more cautious team member objects, insisting they should get Fang Ning's final approval first. Director Wang confidently overrules his team, insisting Fang Ning trusts their skills and wants the video uploaded immediately. The scene shifts to the massive headquarters of the video platform where the video will be reviewed. Inside, the content moderation team works diligently, unaware of the terrifying footage heading their way. A jaded video reviewer, Tao Ping, slumps at his desk, preparing for another monotonous day. He pulls up Fang Ning's video, cynically noting its title about the Haiyuan school tragedy, expecting another cliché. While making tea, he complains about the flood of gimmicky horror content, though he admits the thumbnail is well made. His boredom shatters as a shocking image on screen makes his eyes widen in pure disbelief. The monstrous spirit's terrifying face flashes in the video, its demonic grin filling the monitor. He lurches back in fright, spilling the boiling water from his kettle all over himself. His pained shouts startle the entire office, drawing the concerned stares of his co-workers. Despite the pain, the reviewer is captivated, declaring the video is far too exciting. He immediately calls his co-workers over, insisting they have to see this incredible footage. The team gathers, intrigued by his rare enthusiasm as he proclaims it's a masterpiece destined to go viral. Challenging their skepticism, he confidently hits play, letting the video speak for itself. A stunned silence falls over the office as the entire team watches, completely transfixed by the screen. Once the video ends, they're left wanting more, unanimously agreeing it was a brilliant piece of work. The reviewer marvels at its movie-like quality, questioning how such professional effects were achieved on location. Curious about the creator, the team leans in to see the face of the mastermind behind the video. Meanwhile, the mastermind himself, Fang Ning, is completely oblivious, letting out a massive yawn. Following Zhang Li's clues, he investigates a lead about 3 mysterious figures seen near the princess tomb 6 months prior. His research reveals that while police caught 2 of the tomb raiders, the third managed to escape. The 2 who were apprehended were found on the verge of a complete mental breakdown, terrified by what they saw. The case was a dead end for police, as the traumatized raiders were the only witnesses, and the tomb showed no signs of entry. He speculates that the third thief might be connected to the Haiyuan school, linking the 2 mysteries together. Back on the street, he asks Zhang Li to confirm if her senses are still leading them in the right direction. She excitedly materializes, her ghostly form glowing as she confirms the hairpin's presence is getting much stronger. He quickly scolds her for popping out in public, worried that a pedestrian might spot her. Gently coaxing her back inside his body, he promises to let her out once they're somewhere more private. He notices the streets are eerily empty, connecting it to the recent police warning for citizens to stay home at night. Turning down a dark alley, he asks his ghostly partner to pinpoint their final destination. A miniature version of Zhang Li materializes on his hand, pointing him in the right direction. He stares in confusion at her new cat-like form, wondering what has happened to her. Her guidance leads him to a cordoned-off alley where a crowd has gathered around a crime scene. He sees grim evidence markers near a spilled bottle and a skeletal hand, signaling a gruesome discovery. On the ground lies a desiccated corpse within a chalk outline, its state shocking the onlookers. A veteran detective arrives, his presence indicating the severity of the unusual case. The grizzled detective surveys the scene, asking his subordinate for an assessment of the strange death. The crowd murmurs in fear, disturbed by the victim's mummified appearance. Blending into the crowd, Fang Ning overhears that this is the third such incident, linking it to his own investigation. The lead detective's sharp gaze sweeps over the onlookers, seeming to pause on Fang Ning. The junior officer asks the lead detective for his professional opinion on the baffling crime scene. He reports the victim died with no signs of struggle, and the killer expertly evaded all surveillance cameras. The autopsy reveals the cause of death was heart failure, despite the victim having no history of heart conditions. Pressed for a theory, the younger officer suggests it's a series of random, untraceable murders. He speculates the killer used a sophisticated poison, leaving no evidence behind at the scene. The lead detective dismisses this, noting the body's mummified state points to a far more unnatural cause of death. The frustrated officer admits he's out of ideas, joking that the killer must be a ghost. His superior startles him, cryptically suggesting that the impossible might be the only explanation left. The detective reveals a public warning has been issued for citizens to stay home, leaving the case for another department. He walks away, ominously telling his partner that the world is far more complex than he can imagine. The scene shifts to a desolate, abandoned building under the pale light of the moon. Inside, the third Tomb Raider kneels in a dark hallway, performing a ritual with a single red candle. He holds up Zhang Li's stolen hairpin, announcing to an unseen master that the time has come. His ritual summons a monstrous, multi-eyed entity that looms over him in the darkness. The creature's massive mouth twists into a hungry grin, eager to begin its nightly hunt. The terrified raider confirms their readiness, his face pale with dread as he serves his master. The entity seems pleased with its servant, its many eyes glowing with malevolent red light. A smaller, demonic version of the entity appears on his shoulder, reminding him of his purpose. The creature promises him protection from the authorities in exchange for his continued service. It boasts about the power of the stolen hairpin, now a weapon for its dark deeds. The entity boasts that the stolen hairpin's power can easily overwhelm both spirits and humans. The Tomb Raider pulls up his hood, preparing for one final decisive hunt tonight. With a dark resolve, he declares that the final hunt is about to commence. He channels the hairpin's malevolent power, its dark red tendrils swirling around him. The scene cuts to a neon-lit bar, the next stop in Fang Ning's desperate search. From a high vantage point, he scans the street below, asking for an update on their target. Inside, he takes a drink as Zhang Li reports that the hairpin's trail has suddenly gone cold. He realizes with dawning horror that the mummified victim from the crime scene was their previous target. Suddenly, Zhang Li reappears, excitedly pointing as she senses the hairpin is now very close. He peers outside, where Zhang Li confirms the hairpin is among a group of people entering the bar. He bolts from the bar, leaving a bewildered waiter in his wake as he rushes to pursue his target. The waiter stares at the paltry sum of money left on the table for a glass of water. In a comedic outburst, the waiter fumes over the stingy customer who occupied a table for hours. Now inside a packed nightclub, he struggles against the noise, asking Zhang Li to pinpoint their target. She explains that the sheer number of people on the dance floor is disrupting her ability to sense the hairpin. He resolves to check each person individually, hoping to trigger her senses when he gets close. An alluring woman with pink hair suddenly approaches him, offering to buy him a drink. She leans in with a tempting proposition, leaving him flustered as he tries to politely decline. The woman pulls him into a close embrace, playfully teasing him about his apparent shyness. Unseen by the woman, a jealous Zhang Li pinches his side with a glowing green hand. He yelps in pain from the spectral pinch, accidentally shoving the surprised woman away from him. The woman tumbles to the floor, drawing the attention of other clubgoers who mistake it for a dispute. A group of menacing figures in suits surrounds him, their leader accusing him of causing trouble on their turf. He tries to de-escalate the situation, nervously explaining it's a misunderstanding while hinting at his own power. The leader dismisses his explanation, ordering his men to take their guest to a more private room. As one of the men grabs his shoulder, Fang Ning's expression hardens, ready for the inevitable confrontation. He swiftly counters, grabbing the man's wrist with surprising strength, causing him to cry out in pain. Using the man as a shield, he finds himself quickly surrounded by the rest of the armed group. The leader claps slowly, mockingly impressed by his fighting skills but remaining completely unfazed. Standing defiantly over his downed opponent, Fang Ning is warned that he's in a place where recklessness is not tolerated. He internally panics about the escalating situation, while Zhang Li gleefully suggests a more violent solution. The enforcers move in, swinging their batons down in a coordinated attack. Elsewhere, a drunken businessman stumbles through a dark alley, eager to get home to his family. A mysterious hooded figure suddenly appears, catching the man before he can fall. The grateful man thanks his savior, mistaking the sinister figure for a good Samaritan. He drunkenly invites the stranger to his home, offering to treat him to a meal. The hooded figure reveals a malevolent grin, informing the man he won't be making it home. The businessman looks down in horror, finding the stolen hairpin now embedded in his chest. The Tomb Raider whispers into his victim's ear, his eye glowing with dark power as he seals the man's fate. Now under a dark influence, the man shuffles away as the Tomb Raider offers him up to an unseen entity. The monstrous entity reveals itself, its many red eyes staring down at its hypnotized victim. The man's will crumbles as he blankly questions his own destination, his mind no longer his own. He stumbles into a dead-end alley, completely disoriented and trapped by an unseen force. Shadowy tendrils erupt from the ground, wrapping around his limbs and holding him fast. The hulking entity materializes before him, declaring the alley will be his final resting place. He lets out a silent scream of agony as the dark energy completely consumes him. A smaller, childlike version of the monster watches with glee as its tendrils crush the life from its victim. The demonic creature begins to drain the man's life force, pulling green spiritual energy from his body. It gloats about its plan to absorb his soul, promising the power boost will help it achieve a new level of strength. The victim's body is violently contorted as the last of his spiritual energy is ripped away. The victim's eye fills with despair as he accepts his grim and certain fate. But a mysterious figure in a red hoodie suddenly intervenes, kicking the monster away from its prey. The powerful blow sends the demonic entity flying backward, slamming it hard against the alley wall. The newcomer lands gracefully, watching the explosive impact with a cool and unfazed demeanor. He stands confidently over the dazed victim, having single-handedly thwarted the attack. Turning with a reassuring smile, he casually checks on the well-being of the man he just saved. The terrified victim clutches his throat, stammering his thanks while still reeling from the ordeal. Utterly spent, the man collapses to the ground, expressing his gratitude to his mysterious rescuer. The rescuer's expression hardens as an unseen partner confirms the stolen hairpin is on the creature. Enraged, the monstrous entity reforms into a swirling vortex, demanding to know its opponent's identity. The demonic entity identifies its opponent as a soul hunter, demanding he step aside. The rescuer scoffs, refusing to let the creature harm an innocent person. Enraged by his defiance, the entity prepares to consume him instead. Dark tendrils erupt, ensnaring the hero as he sarcastically critiques the monster's timing. He recoils in disgust, repulsed by the slimy, dark appendages. The creature gloats, confident its soul technique will finish him for his interference. With a single punch, he unleashes a blast of green energy, shattering the shadowy restraints. He lands gracefully, still complaining about the disgusting feeling of the attack. The monstrous entity stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend how its power was so easily broken. Surrounded by a golden aura, the hero smirks, attributing his victory to his superior looks. He declares the tables have turned and launches a powerful counterattack. His golden punch rips through the entity's shadowy form, which retreats in disbelief. He flips through the air, effortlessly evading the creature's desperate retaliation. Zhang Li suddenly materializes behind the monster, consuming its dark energy before it can escape. She savors her spectral meal, looking completely satisfied with the delicious power boost. The enraged entity realizes its hard-earned power has been stolen and decides it must flee. Landing firmly on his feet, he demands the creature surrender the stolen hairpin. He lunges forward, attempting to snatch the precious item from the fleeing demonic form. The creature defiantly prepares for a final clash as Fang Ning's glowing hand descends upon it. He unleashes a devastating beam of pure energy, obliterating the entity in a brilliant flash. The blast leaves behind the small defeated demonic creature writhing on the ground. He asks Zhang Li for their next move, and she eagerly suggests consuming the weakened entity. With her hairpin now in hand, Zhang Li's form changes as she reaches for her spectral prey. She plunges the hairpin into the creature, unleashing its purifying power to end the fight. A massive beam of green energy erupts from the hairpin, completely vaporizing the demonic entity. As the last remnants of dark energy fade, the duo lands back in the alley, their mission complete. Their victory is cut short as a police officer suddenly appears, ordering Fang Ning to freeze. To his surprise, Zhang Li yanks his hair from within, causing him to cry out in pain. The officer mistakes his pained reaction for resistance and grabs him, repeating his command. The junior officer proudly reports to his superior that he has successfully apprehended the suspect. The lead detective aims his gun, silently taking control of the tense standoff. He holsters his weapon, ordering his subordinate to release Fang Ning, certain he's not their man. Fang Ning calmly pats the junior officer on the back, who flinches in surprise. The young officer points to the victim, insisting the crime scene matches the others and questioning who else could be the killer. As Fang Ning proclaims his innocence, the lead detective confirms the previous crime scenes had no other traces. The senior detective explains that a meticulous killer wouldn't make the simple mistake of being seen on camera. Frustrated by this logic, the junior officer turns his attention back to Fang Ning, demanding to know who he is. Before he can answer, the dazed victim points to Fang Ning, identifying him as his savior. The officer grabs the man, urgently questioning him as the first and only survivor of the serial attacks. The traumatized victim struggles to speak, his face a mask of terror as he tries to recall his attacker. The junior officer radios for backup and an ambulance supporting the dazed victim. The lead detective sizes up Fang Ning, asking if he's a soul hunter, a term that catches him off guard. Fang Ning internally connects the term to a potential paranormal organization and decides to play dumb, wary of becoming a target. The detective notes his apparent ignorance, questioning if Fang Ning's abilities are newly awakened. He easily sees through the facade, telling the young man that his surprise is written all over his face. The detective introduces himself as Captain Zhang Tiandao, offering some unsolicited advice on how to be a better liar. He gives Fang Ning his card, extending a surprising offer of future assistance. Fang Ning gratefully accepts, and the detective warns him to be careful when dealing with supernatural entities. As Fang Ning departs down the alley, the detective watches with a smirk, intrigued by their mysterious encounter. The scene pulls back to reveal the sprawling city, with the detective on the street and Fang Ning now perched on a distant rooftop. Elsewhere, the defeated Tomb Raider stands on a rooftop, clutching his last remaining demonic servant. He seethes with rage, his hard-earned soul power stolen, and vows to remember this humiliation. His demonic familiar obediently agrees, its dark energy swirling as they prepare to flee the city. With a final, determined leap, he vanishes into the rainy city skyline to hunt another day. Back on the chase, Fang Ning asks for a location, and Jiang Li confirms the injured hairpin is just ahead. He questions how the demonic creature managed to escape their grasp during the chaos. She explains that the detective's powerful Yang aura forced her to remain hidden, preventing her from acting. He asks about the creature's soul technique, which she describes as a black mud she was unable to break free from on her own. She elaborates that soul techniques are powerful spells, requiring overwhelming strength to overcome the caster's will. She clarifies the difference, explaining that while he used spiritual energy, soul power is a unique force wielded only by spirits. She explains that in a life-or-death crisis, humans can sometimes unleash their own latent spiritual power. He questions her knowledge given her amnesia, and she credits her returning memories to the delicious food he's provided. He concludes that he failed to break the soul technique simply because his spiritual power was too weak. She corrects him, clarifying that his power was amplified, but he only uses it for simplistic physical boosts. He asks how to properly release his spiritual energy, and she admits it usually requires prolonged practice. A brilliant idea strikes her as she excitedly announces she has a much faster solution. She materializes in front of him, instructing him to focus his senses and follow her lead. To his complete astonishment, she pulls him into a sudden and unexpected kiss. The world around them dissolves into a surreal, watery abyss as they float together in a shared mental space. His eyes widen in shock as he finally comprehends the true feeling of spiritual energy flowing through him. She explains they've entered his sea of consciousness, a spiritual world only accessible through their contract. He panics, worried their target will escape while they're distracted by this spiritual training session. She reassures him that time moves differently here, giving them the perfect opportunity to unlock his true potential. He is suddenly mortified as their clothes vanish in a pink mist, leaving them in a surprisingly intimate training scenario. She calmly explains that clothing hinders the perception of spiritual energy and had to be removed for the lesson. Blushing, he closes his eyes and focuses, attempting to feel the flow of energy as she instructed. She guides his hand, her touch igniting a golden spark as she teaches him to mobilize his inner power. Now in a meditative state, he channels the immense energy, his body glowing as she embraces him from behind. Back in the real world, he stands in the alley, crackling with a powerful golden aura from his accelerated training. His eyes now burn with a fierce golden light, a clear sign that he has awakened a new level of power. He finally grasps the true nature of his newly awakened spiritual power. He tests his new strength, launching himself into the sky with a powerful burst of energy. His ghostly partner materializes on his shoulder, pointing him directly toward their fleeing target. With renewed purpose, he gives chase across the city rooftops, closing in on the escaped Tomb Raider. The hooded figure desperately leaps between buildings, trying to outrun his relentless pursuer. A look of panic crosses the Tomb Raider's face as he realizes he can't shake his tail. His demonic familiar reveals that only Jiang Li's presence saved Fang Ning from its earlier soul attack. The familiar senses Jiang Li's immense power closing in, urging its master to escape before it's too late. The desperate Tomb Raider lands near a parked motorcycle, planning a much faster getaway. He confidently walks towards his escape vehicle, boasting that their base is protected by traps that will ensnare any pursuer. The Tomb Raider prepares to start his motorcycle, believing he understands his pursuer's tactics. but Fang Ning appears above him, correctly guessing he's using a human accomplice to throw off the police. Casually lounging on a traffic light, he identifies the man as the escaped tomb raider from the princess's tomb. He then reveals the raider's name, Ku Jing, having already seen his wanted poster. The tomb raider's face contorts in shock and fear, his identity completely exposed. Fang Ning leaps into action, launching a powerful fiery kick toward his target. The demonic familiar warns him to back off as its master draws a weapon in defense. Surrounded by a fiery aura, Fang Ning demands the hairpin in exchange for a swift end. The creature smirks, pulling the hairpin from its chest as it confirms the item is Fang Ning's true goal. It then transforms the hairpin into a glowing green blade, preparing to grant his wish with deadly force. Fang Ning is suddenly engulfed by a swirling tide of dark, malevolent energy. The demonic familiar, enraged by his defiance, unleashes the full might of its shadowy master. It laments having to expend its precious original soul power for this devastating attack. The creature vows to make him suffer, sensing the powerful soul of Zhang Li within him. A powerful soul technique erupts, trapping Fang Ning in a swirling vortex of dark energy. But the demonic familiar watches in disbelief as Fang Ning effortlessly shatters its supposedly unbreakable trap. Its shadowy master lunges forward, determined to destroy the one who broke its technique. Fang Ning, now crackling with his own fiery spiritual power, prepares a powerful counter. He unleashes a massive torrent of golden energy, overwhelming the creature's dark assault. The familiar can only stare in horror, unable to comprehend how its ultimate attack was so easily defeated. The demonic familiar reels back, shocked that a mere human could possess such overwhelming power. In a final desperate move, it raises the hairpin sword, refusing to accept its impending defeat. But Zhang Li bursts forth from Fang Ning, ready to deliver the decisive final blow herself. She hurtles through the air, channeling her immense spiritual energy for a single, focused strike. Her attack collides with the creature, creating a massive explosion that engulfs the battlefield. As the dust settles, Fang Ning reaches for the falling hairpin, believing the fight is finally won. But dark tendrils suddenly erupt, ensnaring his fist just as he's about to claim his prize. He looks up in shock as the familiar uses its remaining power to bind his arm completely. The creature uses the connection to launch itself away, making a desperate escape with the hairpin. However, Zhang Li calmly begins to inhale the creature's escaping energy, much to its horror. The demonic familiar panics, its form stretching as it desperately tries to reclaim the stolen hairpin. Fang Ning smirks, his fiery aura flaring as he declares that with the hairpin in his possession, the fight is over. He unleashes a devastating beam of golden energy, intending to send the creature to its final rest. As the creature's form dissolves, it desperately pleads for the return of its soul instrument, its only hope for evolution. It struggles against its demise, refusing to accept defeat before achieving its revenge. A memory surfaces, revealing the spirit's origin as a terrified child calling for its mother. The vision shows the child's final, agonizing moments overwhelmed by a dark, watery fate. Back in the present, the last wisp of the creature's soul dissipates in front of a stunned Fang Ning. He clutches his head as fragmented memories from the defeated spirit flood his mind. Zhang Li explains the creature's tragic origin, revealing it was a drowned baby, a spirit born from a cruel and ancient tradition. The vision reveals the horrifying tradition of parents ending their own children's lives in water. She continues, explaining the baby's spirit was born from resentment and a desperate will to live. This vengeful spirit then projected its suffering onto its victims, venting its anger on the world. He turns the question to Zhang Li, wondering what powerful obsession has kept her in the world for so long. Their conversation is interrupted as the tomb raider makes a desperate lunge with a knife. Fang Ning easily catches his wrist, surprised the man didn't take the chance to escape. With a flick of his fingers, he effortlessly shatters the steel blade into 2 pieces. The tomb raider stumbles back in disbelief, his only weapon now useless on the ground. He clutches his head in terror, realizing that without his spiritual protector, he is completely doomed. Fang Ning pins the panicked man against a wall, demanding he answer his questions. Terrified, the tomb raider reluctantly agrees to cooperate with Fang Ning's interrogation. Fang Ning demands to know how the man became entangled with the demonic soul infant. The raider recalls meeting a shady, masked figure named Chang Baidao, who offered him a high-paying job. Desperate for cash, he admits to recruiting 2 of his old partners for the lucrative but dangerous task. The name Chang Baidao piques Fang Ning's interest, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. The man explains Chang Baidao as a powerful information broker who provides leads on valuable, unearthed items. He reveals the job was to dig at the princess's tomb using a mysterious jar provided by the broker. Overcome by curiosity, he opened the jar early, unleashing the terrifying ghost infant inside. The spirit tormented him all night before possessing his body and taking complete control of his mind. He recalls waking up at the tomb just as the spirit emerged from the ground, now holding the hairpin, and latched onto him once more. He recalls how shadowy figures erupted from the ground, dragging his two companions into the jungle while he was forced to serve the entity. The spirit then made him an offer he couldn't refuse: wealth and protection from the police in exchange for his cooperation. Breaking down, he confesses his desperation, revealing he needed money for his severely ill son and couldn't afford to die. Fang Ning coldly reminds him that his victims also had families, who are now suffering because of his actions. The tomb raider collapses to his knees, begging for mercy and pleading not to be handed over to the authorities. He tearfully admits his unforgivable crimes, explaining his son has no one else left in the world. Grabbing the man, Fang Ning angrily tells him that the real apology is owed to the families who lost everything. He asks his final question about the location of the mysterious broker, but the raider claims Chang Baidao's whereabouts are unknown. The man explains their contact is entirely remote, with jobs posted online and payments made through offshore accounts. Cutting him off, Fang Ning impatiently demands the man hand over his phone immediately. Fang Ning gives the raider his contact information, ordering him to report any future contact from the mysterious broker. He tosses the phone back to the stunned raider, who fumbles to catch it. The man is shocked that Fang Ning is letting him go instead of turning him in to the police. Fang Ning advises him to use his ill-gotten gains to save his son and make amends with the victims' families. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the tomb raider bows deeply, promising to do what's right. As he walks away, Fang Ning offers one last piece of advice: to ensure his son doesn't follow his father's dark path. The man rises, his expression filled with a newfound resolve after hearing Fang Ning's words. He turns and walks away, ready to face the consequences of his actions. With a final look back, he thanks Fang Ning and vows to surrender to the authorities once his affairs are in order. Alone on the street, Fang Ning reflects on his decision, conflicted about letting a guilty man walk free, even for a good reason. He reflects on his decision, seeing a parallel between the raider's son and his own past. Zhang Li snaps him out of his thoughts, praising his newfound strength and recent victory. Overjoyed, she leaps into his arms, celebrating the recovery of her precious hairpin. He gently pushes her back, shifting focus to the mysterious broker, Chang Baidao, and the conspiracy behind the theft. The name makes her pause, and she racks her brain, trying to recall any connection to the mysterious figure. After a long pause, she simply says she doesn't remember, much to his frustration. She gets defensive, explaining that her memories and powers are still recovering and will take time to return fully. He apologizes for pressing her, and she cheerfully suggests they head home for now. As they walk, he decides to put the mystery aside, content that they've thwarted their enemy's plans for now. His moment of peace is broken as Zhang Li suddenly leans in close, startling him with her proximity. He looks away, flustered, as she explains she's too tired to do anything herself. He formally presents her with the recovered hairpin, which she accepts with a gentle gaze. She blushes, playfully asking him to put the hairpin in her hair for her. Despite his feigned annoyance, he gently places the hairpin in her long, white hair. A close-up on her eye reveals a sudden, vivid memory of a man from another time. The vision reveals a man in ancient attire, who proudly declares he retrieved the hairpin just for her. The memory continues, showing the man and a past version of herself in an intimate historical setting. Back in the present, he holds her chin just as the man in her memory did, asking if she likes it. The powerful memory overwhelms her, and tears of a forgotten joy stream down her face. His eyes widen as he understands the hairpin has unlocked a powerful memory of pure joy. Overwhelmed by the memory, she tearfully professes her love for the man from her past. The powerful emotion sends a ripple through her very being, like a single drop in a vast ocean. Back in the present, a massive surge of spiritual energy erupts from her, pushing a startled Fang Ning away. Lost in the memory, she floats in the air, her own power now fully awakened by the hairpin. The raw energy shreds her modern attire, beginning a stunning transformation. Fang Ning comically complains, more worried about his disappearing clothes than the supernatural event. As her hoodie dissolves, an elegant, traditional anklet materializes on her foot. The transformation completes, revealing her in a beautiful ancient gown, her true form restored. Her eyes flash with a brilliant red light, her restored power now fully under her control. She shares a portion of her immense spiritual energy with Fang Ning, who is shocked by the incredible power boost. He cries out as the overwhelming golden energy surges through him, a fiery pillar erupting into the sky. Elsewhere, two mysterious figures on a rooftop notice the brilliant beacon of power piercing the night sky. The woman notes the powerful but unfamiliar energy fluctuations, confirming the source is not one of their allies. Her partner suggests they finish dispatching the remaining demonic entities before investigating the disturbance. The scene reveals their targets, a horde of grotesque, shadowy demons preparing to attack. The female fighter leaps into the fray, confronting the monstrous entities head-on. Wielding a staff and surrounded by red energy, she confidently prepares to unleash her power. With a single sweeping strike of her weapon, she cuts through the demonic horde in a flash of red light. The scene shifts to a dark, imposing skyscraper, hinting at another group of observers. Inside, two well-dressed men watch the distant energy surge while standing over a bound captive. A man named Yuan Tun notes the soul infant's aura has vanished, annoyed that his subordinate drew too much attention. His partner, the broker Chang Baidao, dismisses the loss as a failed experiment, but orders an investigation to avoid answering to the doctor. Yen Tun moves menacingly toward their captive, ready to carry out his boss's grim order. The terrified captive pleads for his life, reminding them of their broken promise to release him. With a cruel smile, Yuan Tun reveals his deception and silences the man's pleas permanently. His grim task completed, Yuan Tun turns and walks away from the now silent room. A single smoldering cigarette falls to the pavement, marking a quiet end to the brutal encounter. Back on the street, Captain Xiang stares up at the sky, still pondering the massive energy surge he witnessed. His subordinate asks if something is wrong, but the detective brushes it off, claiming he's just forgotten something. He dismisses his partner for the night, remaining alone on the street as he contemplates the night's strange events. The junior officer notices his superior's distraction, asking if something is amiss. Meanwhile, Fang Ning gasps for air, reeling from the overwhelming surge of power. He steadies himself, remarking that the immense energy almost made him explode. Zhang Li senses someone approaching and urges him to make a swift departure. The pair streaks across the night sky, a blur of green energy heading for home. Safely inside, Fang Ning peeks out the window, worried their light show will make the morning news. She reassures him that the spiritual energy is invisible to ordinary people. He questions the source of the immense power, and she explains it's only a tenth of her full strength. Fang Ning is utterly floored, struggling to comprehend the true scale of her power. He eagerly asks about her memories, and she confirms that some have indeed returned. She clutches her head, explaining that her memories are still fragmented and incomplete. He gently reassures her, telling her not to force the memories to return. She leaps into his arms, affectionately declaring her unwavering loyalty to him. Their tender moment is cut short by an urgent notification on his phone. A message from his video editor announces that their latest ghost hunt has gone viral. He scrambles to his computer, with Zhang Li floating excitedly beside him to see for herself. He stares in shock, realizing their video has amassed over 1 million views in just 3 hours. The comment section explodes with activity, confirming the video is a massive, trending hit. He realizes with glee that this video's popularity has already surpassed their last adventure. He daydreams of a mountain of cash from endorsements, his mind already on the profits. His celebration is cut short as he finds himself in a strange, watery void, completely bewildered. Zhang Li urgently appears, telling him to look inside his own sea of consciousness. The world dissolves as they plunge together into the vast cosmic depths of his mind. He stares in utter disbelief at the incredible sight unfolding before him. A swirling vortex of countless golden fish, made of pure energy, surrounds them in the spiritual abyss. She excitedly reveals that each fish is a manifestation of fear, the very power they've been collecting from their viewers. She moves in close, instructing him to close his eyes and feel the energy around them. In a symbolic embrace, she guides him to absorb the raw power, their spiritual forms merging with the golden energy. Together, they become the calm center of the swirling vortex of spiritual energy, absorbing its immense power. Back in the real world, he sits in a meditative state, a powerful aura swirling around him as he processes his newfound strength. He realizes this new power is the fear generated by their viral ghost hunting video. Feeling the surge of strength, he boasts that he can now defeat a soul infant on his own. The long day's events finally catch up to him as he kneels, exhausted. He mentally lists the day's mysteries: soul infants, soul hunters, and the enigmatic detective. In the shower, he reflects on the dangerous new world he's entered, knowing there's no turning back. With renewed determination, he vows to survive and find the people he's looking for. Later that night, Zhang Li watches over him as he tries to get some rest. Her touch on his forehead causes him to blush, her presence still flustering him. Her form begins to shift as green energy swirls around her, her ancient gown dissolving away. In her ethereal state, she leans over the sleeping Fang Ning and playfully pulls back his covers. In her ethereal form, Zhang Li gazes at the sleeping Fang Ning, a talisman on her forehead as she reflects on a 1,000-year wait. She embraces him, her long search finally over, while he remains trapped in a restless sleep. His face contorts in his sleep, caught in the grip of a powerful and disturbing nightmare. A dark memory surfaces, filled with the haunting image of a shadowy screaming face and a spilled gas can. The vision reveals a young boy watching helplessly as the celestial orphanage burns to the ground. In the memory, the boy's eyes glow with a fierce red light, his expression hardening with a chilling resolve. The scene transitions to a quiet, modern home as a new day begins. Elsewhere, a young man with blonde hair starts his morning routine, brushing his teeth in the bathroom. His routine is interrupted as his phone buzzes insistently on the counter, flooded with notifications. He picks up the device, surprised by the sheer volume of messages he's received so early. He reacts in shock, discovering his viral video has been knocked down to second place. The creator throws a fit, unable to believe a newcomer's video gained 3 million views overnight. He storms over to his computer, eager to see what kind of content managed to dethrone him. With a fiery determination, he puts on his headphones to analyze his new rival's work. Leaning back in defeat, he admits the video is incredible and that he's been fairly beaten. A sly grin appears as he scrolls through the comments, deciding to engage with the new creator. He decides to use his own influence to boost the newcomer's popularity even further. His repost sends waves through the comment section, with fans buzzing about the rising star. The scene transitions to a quiet morning, with sunlight streaming through an open window. Meanwhile, Fang Ning and Zhang Li rest peacefully together, oblivious to their newfound fame. Fang Ning sleeps soundly, mumbling happily about a feast of steamed buns and rice cakes. His dream self floats blissfully on a giant bun, surrounded by a banquet of his favorite foods. The dream continues as he reaches out for a giant, soft rice cake, lost in his culinary fantasy. His dream self's eyes sparkle with delight, imagining the delicious texture of the food. Waking up, he wonders if it was all a dream, as the sensation felt incredibly real. His eyes snap open in shock as he realizes what he was actually holding on to. He discovers he's been cuddling with Zhang Li all night, leaving him utterly stunned. Leaping out of bed, he points at her, completely flustered by the unexpected situation. Zhang Li wakes up innocently, asking if he's finally awake, unaware of his inner turmoil. The sheer embarrassment of the moment causes him to have a dramatic nosebleed and collapse. Zhang Li leans over him, pointing out his sudden nosebleed with a concerned expression. Mortified, he throws up a hand, ordering her to stay right where she is. He scrambles away in a panic, desperate to put some distance between them. Grabbing a tissue, he tries to compose himself while she watches in confusion. Completely flustered, he demands that she put on some clothes immediately. She innocently agrees, puffing her cheeks as she prepares to comply. A swirl of green energy envelops her as she magically materializes a new outfit. Announcing she's finished, she reveals a new, modern-looking red and white dress. His eyes widen, caught completely off guard by her sudden change in appearance. He remains on the floor, staring up at her as she stands confidently in her new attire. Bathed in the morning sunlight. He points in shock, questioning how she can suddenly withstand the daylight. She smugly explains that she has partially regained her strength, gesturing to the hairpin. Tying up her hair, she playfully asks if her previous long dress was inconvenient for him. His expression turns serious as he internally questions her true nature, since souls shouldn't be active in daylight. She playfully leaps into his arms, urging him to apply a talisman. Their moment is interrupted by his phone ringing insistently on the bed. Flustered, he pushes her away, explaining he needs to take the call. He picks up the device, seeing the call is from his video editor Wang Sanhe. Answering the phone, he learns from the excited editor that their video has hit #1 on the trending list. Fang Ning calmly confirms he's seen the video's meteoric rise while on the phone. His editor excitedly reports that lucrative ad deals are already pouring in for their next project. Fang Ning advises caution, wanting to build their brand before cashing in on their newfound fame. The editor humbly downplays his own social media experience, confused by the line of questioning. Fang Ning proposes a formal partnership, offering to split the workload and profits for long-term growth. The editor hesitates, feeling his small studio is out of its league, but Fang Ning expresses his confidence in their work. With a sly look, Fang Ning gently pressures the editor for a final decision on their collaboration. The editor eagerly accepts the offer, his excitement barely contained as he clenches his fist. He nervously tries to negotiate a smaller cut for himself, but Fang Ning interrupts with a more generous plan. Fang Ning recalls how the editor was the only one to believe in him, revealing his offer as a gesture of gratitude. Overcome with emotion, the editor tearfully promises to dedicate himself to managing their new account. Fang Ning calmly ends the call, officially entrusting the future of their channel to his new partner. He checks the trending page, realizing their video has shattered records and generated an immense amount of fear. Turning from the screen, he looks to his spiritual partner, ready to discuss the power they've just collected. She playfully closes the distance, prompting him to ask if the viral video's fear was enough to restore her strength. She admits that despite their success, she is still far from her full power, leaving him to wonder what it will take. To illustrate her point, she conjures a massive glowing orb, showing him just how much energy she's still missing. He worries about their chances against their next target, but she confidently assures him of their victory. Deciding on a plan, he stretches and declares they will eat and rest before heading out. With newfound determination, he announces their return to Haiyuan Elementary that very night, ready for the next hunt. Zhang celebrates her upcoming feast with adorable excitement. Later that night, under a crescent moon, they prepare to leave the apartment. Fang Ning stands at the window, telling his partner it's time to go. He's suddenly startled as a mysterious object flies past his head. At Haiyuan Elementary, two familiar figures hide behind a tree, one hesitant to proceed. The older man smacks his younger companion, reminding him of the viral video's success. He insists this is their golden opportunity to ride the hype and get famous. The younger creator nervously voices his fear of the school's rumored hauntings. His partner scoffs, dismissing the viral video as clever editing and fake props. Their skepticism vanishes as they both freeze in terror, staring at an unseen horror. The source of their terror is revealed to be a young woman, who they mistake for a real ghost. She angrily scolds her two companions for their cowardice, reminding them of their plan to meet at the gate. One of the men sheepishly admits the creepy, abandoned school at night set them on edge. He then voices his doubts, pointing out they can't compete with the original video's high-quality props and editing. Annoyed, she pinches his cheek, reminding him they're just there to capitalize on the hype, not to win an award. Her other partner suggests a clever plan to debunk the original video, earning a thoughtful look from their leader. Cutting off the flattery, she rallies her team, eager to start their investigation. But their bravado fades as one of them freezes, hearing a strange noise from the darkness behind them. Peering into the woods, they spot two ethereal figures gliding silently through the trees. The two men erupt in genuine terror, realizing they've just encountered the real thing. The woman scolds her two terrified companions for clinging to her, unimpressed by their cowardice. One of the men tries to justify their fear, arguing that a spooky forest at night is the perfect place for a ghost to appear. Composing herself, the woman approaches Fang Ning and Zhang Li, cautiously asking who they are. One of the streamers introduces himself as Zhang Xiao, explaining they're here to film at the now-famous school. His partners, Mao Xing and Lin Huan, introduce themselves, with Mao Xing extending a hand to Fang Ning. Mao Xing suddenly recognizes Fang Ning, making a strange pop culture reference that leaves Fang Ning looking confused. He excitedly reveals to his friends that they've just met the viral video's star, the very reason for their visit. The woman, Lin Huan, transforms into an excited fan, gushing over how much she loved their ghost hunting video. She eagerly asks for an autograph before curiously questioning if he and Zhang Li are a couple. As a flustered Fang Ning tries to deny it, Zhang Li calmly and seriously confirms that she is his wife. Flustered, Fang Ning regains his composure, advising the rival streamers to leave the school until morning for their own safety. The skeptical streamer, Mao Xing, challenges his authority, refusing to be told where he can and cannot film. Fang Ning's expression turns grim as he insists that the school is genuinely haunted and his warning is not a joke. He gives them one last intense look, stressing that they will face life-threatening danger if they ignore him. Mao Xing remains unconvinced, accusing Fang Ning of faking his videos and trying to hog the spotlight. A sudden, unnatural gust of wind sweeps past the three streamers, knocking them off balance in a swift motion. As the wind settles, Zhang Xiao realizes Fang Ning and Zhang Li have vanished, leaving him to ponder the strange event. He gazes at the school gate, speculating that the pair have already gone inside to film a sequel. While one partner urges caution, the other sees a chance to sneak in and capture footage that could also go viral. Ignoring all warnings, the trio charges into the school grounds, eager to uncover the secrets behind the famous video. The third streamer desperately calls out, trying to catch up with his reckless friends. A ripple of green energy washes over the school grounds as the trio rushes inside, oblivious to its source. Now inside, Fang Ning worries about the streamers, knowing they can't save them if a fight breaks out. He turns to his partner, asking if she can pinpoint the location of their ghostly target. Zhang Li confidently points upward, revealing their quarry is in the same room as their last encounter. He tosses her his phone, entrusting her with filming their next big hit. With a confident smirk, Fang Ning gives the signal to start recording their new ghost hunt. He begins narrating their mission as they move through the school, with Zhang Li providing armed backup from above. He recaps their last visit, explaining his forced retreat and the spirit they must now rescue. Their destination is revealed: the principal's office, the heart of the school's haunting. He dramatically kicks open the office door, announcing his triumphant return. Inside the derelict room, he scans the darkness, searching for their spectral target. Zhang Li points to an ornate comb on the desk, identifying it as the source of the malevolent energy. He deduces the comb is the key, a personal item he can use to track down the trapped spirit. A surge of dark energy erupts from the comb as an unseen entity taunts him for his boldness. A monstrous spirit manifests, boasting that it has already set a trap from which he can never escape. Unimpressed, Fang Ning mocks the creature's lack of creativity and prepares to counter its attack. The grotesque entity lunges forward, aiming to overwhelm him with its sheer size and power. He effortlessly deflects the blow, his own fiery aura clashing with the spirit's dark energy. The creature recoils in disbelief, stunned by his rapid growth in power and concluding he must be a demon hunter. Fang Ning coolly dismisses the creature's power, taunting it for its lack of improvement over the years. Enraged by the insult, the demonic spirit roars, its dark energy flaring as it prepares to strike. The towering entity warns Fang Ning not to celebrate prematurely, its immense size dwarfing him completely. It gathers crackling purple energy, its glowing red eyes fixed on him as it announces the true fight has just begun. The spirit unleashes a massive orb of destructive energy, vowing that not even a demon hunter can keep it from its love. Fang Ning braces himself, caught off guard by the sheer power of the creature's soul technique. The scene cuts to the streamer Zhang Xiao, who cheerfully introduces himself to his viewers as Potato. He and his crew begin filming at the school gate, ready to investigate the famous haunting for their channel. His monologue is interrupted by a menacing, disembodied voice from inside, questioning his audacity to return. A massive blast of purple energy erupts from the school's upper floors, stunning the three streamers into silence. The streamer Mao Xing falls back in terror, pointing at the unbelievable display of power. He watches in horror as Fang Ning is blasted out of the building by the purple energy. His partner screams, certain the 5-story fall will be fatal. But Zhang Li springs into action, her green energy swirling as she leaps to the rescue. She gracefully catches him mid-fall, her power cushioning their descent. The pair lands safely, leaving the three rival streamers completely speechless. The other streamers stare in disbelief, questioning if they actually saw them fly. Mao Xing scoffs, trying to convince himself it was just a clever wire trick. Their debate is cut short as another shadowy entity plummets from the sky. It crashes down before them, revealing a hulking, armored monster that dwarfs the terrified trio. The streamers scramble back in terror, their skepticism shattered by the supernatural display. The woman scolds her friends for filming, trying to drag them away from the imposing monster. The armored entity stomps forward, its dark energy sealing off any chance of escape. Its glowing red eyes narrow as it vows to destroy anyone who dared to interfere with its beloved. A massive dome of purple energy erupts from the creature, trapping everyone within the school grounds. One of the men panics, his hands meeting the impassable energy wall that now surrounds them. The group's leader shoves his friend aside, refusing to believe they are truly trapped. He charges the barrier, only to be violently repelled by the immense spiritual force. Defeated, the trio collapses, filled with regret for not heeding Fang Ning's earlier warning. The woman looks on grimly, understanding their survival now depends entirely on Fang Ning's victory. Fang Ning analyzes the attack, realizing his opponent isn't as unbeatable as he first appeared. The armored behemoth lunges forward, determined to crush him with a single devastating blow. With a burst of golden energy, he leaps high into the air, effortlessly evading the creature's clumsy strike. The spirit retaliates with a powerful downward punch, aiming to smash him into the ground. Fang Ning meets the massive fist head-on, creating a brilliant explosion of energy at the point of impact. A surge of purple lightning courses through his arm, the raw power of the blow catching him by surprise. Thrown back by the force, he flips in midair and unleashes a powerful counterblast of his own. His attack carves a trench in the ground, showcasing his own impressive destructive capability. He lands, a bead of sweat on his brow as he acknowledges the frightening power of his foe. The spirit challenges his endurance, while Fang Ning urgently calls out for his partner, Jiang Li. Jiang Li answers his call, her hairpin glowing as she unleashes her own spiritual power. From ethereal portals, massive green chains of energy shoot forward to intercept the monster. Fang Ning braces himself, his golden aura flaring as the creature's enormous fist plummets toward him. The chains bind the armored spirit completely, suspending it in midair as it roars in helpless rage. Landing on the creature's shoulders, Fang Ning confidently challenges the now immobilized entity. The spirit thrashes against its bonds, demanding Fang Ning release it from the powerful restraints. He places a talisman on the spirit's helmet, deducing that the monstrous form is merely a facade. Pressing his finger to the talisman, he correctly identifies the spirit as Zhang Cheng, the school's last principal. With the entity subdued, Fang Ning furiously demands to know if he was responsible for Lianxiang's demise. The monstrous illusion shatters, revealing a terrified man who desperately denies the accusation, claiming her end was an accident. The spirit shamelessly shifts the blame, questioning why the girl didn't just run away. Enraged, Fang Ning delivers a swift strike, calling the man a monster for his heartless words. He grabs the principal, condemning him for destroying a young life and causing her family unimaginable pain. Overwhelmed, the spirit begs him to stop, unable to face the truth of his actions. Fang Ning offers a deal, promising a way out if the principal reveals Lianxiang's location. But the spirit's obsession takes over, defiantly refusing to ever let her go. He lunges forward in a burst of purple energy, attempting to break free and attack. Jiang Li swoops in to intercept, warning her partner of the impending danger. The principal grabs hold of Fang Ning, preparing to unleash a final, desperate attack. Their struggle culminates in a massive explosion that rips through the school building. Caught in the blast, Fang Ning cries out as the raw energy surges through him. Recovering, he demands to know what just happened as the principal's power flares. Jiang Li admits she's unsure, observing that their enemy seems to be getting a sudden power boost. The principal smashes the ground, vowing that no one will ever separate him from his beloved. To his shock, Fang Ning finds himself crackling with the same purple energy, his clothes tearing from the strain. Blasted back, he internally curses the villain's sudden level up, wondering if he got too cocky. Jiang Li swoops in to rescue him, unleashing her spiritual chains to restrain their foe. The principal roars in fury, thrashing against the powerful green energy binding him. His face twists into a monstrous grin as he reveals a stolen talisman, taunting Jiang Li. Breaking free, the spirit lunges for Jiang Li, but Fang Ning intercepts the attack, taking the full force of the blow. The principal unleashes a devastating blast of purple energy, sending Fang Ning flying. The powerful beam crashes into the ground, creating a massive shockwave. Jiang Li rushes to his side as he struggles to his feet, battered but not broken. He reassures her, telling her to merge with him so they can contain the fight. Realizing he's outmatched, Fang Ning retreats, desperately searching for a new strategy. The enraged principal channels his dark power, vowing to trap his opponent inside the school forever. Fang Ning skillfully dodges a barrage of explosive energy blasts that rock the hallway. He deduces the barrier's weak point must be in the classroom and makes a break for it. Outside, the school building erupts with explosions, a testament to the fierce battle raging within. Cornered by the relentless attack, he knows he has only one chance to charge his power and can't afford to stop. With renewed determination, he decides to take a massive risk and fight back head-on. Planting his foot firmly, he launches himself forward with a burst of golden energy. He rockets through the school hallway, a blur of motion aimed directly at his opponent. The principal's purple energy blasts meet him head-on, but he pushes through the barrage. A fiery explosion erupts just behind him, showcasing the raw power he narrowly dodged. Safely out of the blast radius, he realizes he must find Lianxiang while he has this small window. He connects the dots, deducing that Xiang's spirit must be tied to the comb in the principal's office. Gazing up the ruined stairwell, he knows he must return to the very room where the fight began. But the principal's spirit materializes at the top of the stairs, taunting him and blocking his path. The spirit's face contorts with rage, vowing that everyone who interfered will perish in the school. Unfazed by the threat, Fang Ning confidently deduces that Xiang's spirit is trapped nearby. The principal's face contorts with rage, his glowing red eyes revealing his shock at being found out. He lunges to interfere, but Fang Ning raises a fist crackling with golden energy, preparing to act. With a look of fierce determination, he channels his full power, his aura flaring as he prepares to strike. He slams his fist onto the desk, revealing a glowing red sigil on the floor beneath them. The sigil transports him into a hidden dimension, confirming his theory about a secret space. Enraged at being discovered, the principal leaps down, crackling with dark energy to deliver a final blow. Zhongli instantly materializes, throwing up a protective green barrier to shield him from the attack. The principal's lightning-infused strike collides with her shield, threatening to shatter her defense. With a malevolent grin, the spirit gathers a potent orb of dark energy, preparing to end the fight for good. Zhongli strains to hold her shield as the principal's overwhelming purple energy threatens to break through. The attack backfires, sending the principal flying backward in a massive explosion. His face twists in fury, his glowing red eyes revealing his shock at the unexpected turn of events. The principal's eyes widen in disbelief, unable to comprehend how his power was overcome. Mr. Fang Ning holds Zhongli, who has absorbed the blast, leaving the principal stunned by their combined strength. A vision reveals Xiang being pulled into a dark portal, embraced by a mysterious figure. The scene reveals Xiang trapped and bound by magical chains in a dark, ethereal prison. A swirling blue vortex opens within her prison, catching her by surprise. Mr. Fang Ning and Zhongli emerge from the vortex, arriving in the hidden dimension where Xiang is held. Overjoyed, Xiang's face lights up with hope as she recognizes her long-awaited rescuer. With his partner floating protectively above, Mr. Fang Ning stands ready to free the captive spirit. He calmly reassures Xiang, fulfilling his promise to return and rescue her. As her magical restraints shatter, he catches the weakened spirit, finally setting her free. The enraged principal bursts into the dimension, demanding they release his prized possession. He vows to eliminate the intruders and take Xiang away from them forever. The spirit attempts to manipulate Xiang with a twisted promise of protection. Terrified, she hides behind her rescuer, refusing to return to her captor. The principal's face contorts with rage, his eyes glowing red as he realizes she has chosen another. Consumed by jealousy, he unleashes a torrent of dark, uncontrollable energy. The powerful blast forces the heroes back as they shield the terrified girl from his wrath. Outside, the streamers notice the battle has gone eerily quiet, wondering about the outcome. The older streamer voices his concern, hoping their hero won but fearing the alternative. Their speculation is cut short as the woman points in alarm, spotting something emerging from the school. A violent wave of purple spiritual energy erupts from the building, blasting directly toward them. The sheer force of the blast knocks the unprepared streamers off their feet. All three lie unconscious on the ground, overwhelmed by the powerful spiritual backlash. Inside, the principal unleashes his final desperate attack, determined to take everyone down with him. Zhongli struggles to hold their shield, warning that the dark fog is draining their power fast. Thinking quickly, Mr. Fang Ning turns to Xiang, asking if she knows her captor's weakness. She reveals an opening in his chest armor, but explains the swirling dark energy makes it an impossible target. Undeterred, he insists he can land the blow if he can just find the right speed and timing. A sudden realization hits him as he visualizes his own spiritual technique, a high-speed dash. The enraged principal unleashes a desperate barrage of dark energy to intercept his charge. With a determined grin, he races forward, betting his speed against the principal's attack. He moves like a blur, his fist connecting with the spirit's chest in a brilliant flash of golden light. The principal recoils in agony and disbelief, stunned that his defense was so easily breached. Mr. Fang Ning follows up with a massive blast of his own, overwhelming the spirit's dark energy. Defeated, the principal collapses, his dark form dissolving as he begs Xiang not to leave him. He reaches a trembling hand toward the young spirit, his form slowly disintegrating. With a final, tearful apology, the principal's face shatters, and he fades into nothingness. As the principal fades, Mr. Fang Ning absorbs the spirit's final, tragic memories. Surrounded by shards of the past, he realizes the principal was just a pawn in a much larger scheme. The memories reveal the principal once had a happy family with a loving wife and a young daughter. 15 years ago, his world was shattered by a horrific car accident. The violent crash tragically claimed the lives of his wife and child. He was forced to witness the devastating loss of his entire family right before his eyes. In his darkest moment of grief, a mysterious group approached the broken man. They manipulated him with a false promise, offering to resurrect his daughter through a sinister ritual. Mr. Fang Ning explains to Lian Xiang that she was meant to be the vessel for the principal's lost child. But the ritual was a lie. His daughter's spirit was gone, leaving him bound to Lian Xiang in his endless sorrow. He gently explains that in the end, the lonely principal truly came to see her as his own daughter. With the truth revealed, she tearfully asks if he has any news of her real parents. He sadly recalls learning from the police that her parents had passed away from illness long ago. Despite the heartbreaking news, she bows deeply, expressing her immense gratitude to her rescuers. He humbly introduces himself, trying to comfort the young spirit in her moment of grief. Suddenly, her spiritual form begins to glow and dissolve, catching him completely by surprise. She explains that her existence was tied to the principal's power, and without him, she is fading away. As she floats away, she reassures him that being freed was her final heartfelt wish. With a peaceful smile, she expresses her desire to see the world one last time, free from her prison. Unwilling to accept this, he turns desperately to Jiang Li, asking if there is any way to save her. Jiang Li explains they need a physical anchor and immense spiritual energy to bind Lian Xiang's soul. Realizing the comb is the perfect anchor, he presents it to Lian Xiang's fading spirit. He attempts to use the ornate comb to tether her spirit to the physical world. Frustrated, he realizes his own power isn't enough to complete the ritual. Lian Xiang accepts her fate, thanking him with a peaceful smile as she prepares to move on. He can only watch as her spirit dissolves into golden light, leaving the comb behind. As the comb clatters to the floor, he collapses in despair, overwhelmed by his failure. Tears stream down his face as he apologizes for breaking his promise to save her. The ornate comb lies silently on the ground, a symbol of his defeat. But a swirl of green energy suddenly envelops the comb, signaling that all hope is not yet lost. He looks up in shock as the comb is lifted by a mysterious green energy. Zhongli floats before him, unleashing her immense power to save the young spirit.
He watches in amazement as she presents the comb, now containing Lian Xiang's miniaturized soul.
She explains that she combined her own power with the principal's residual energy to fulfill his wish. He tucks the comb away, noting Lian Xiang will need to rest and recover within its hidden space. His moment of relief is interrupted by a sharp, jealous pinch from his spectral partner. She possessively reminds him that his attention belongs to her, while he comically defends his innocent intentions. He takes her hands, his expression softening as he sincerely thanks her for saving Lian Xiang. Her curiosity piqued, she asks about the incredible burst of speed he used during the fight. He explains his newfound ability to slow his perception of time, allowing him to react and move at impossible speeds. He compares his new ability to the bullet time feature in video games while looking over the unconscious streamers. He reveals the technique's elegant name, the 1,000-Year Reverie, which came to him in the heat of battle. His partner looks on in surprise, contemplating the profound name of his new power. He worries about the streamers, but she reassures him they'll only wake up with a headache despite losing a few years of life. Deciding to move them to safety, he notices their phone is still recording the entire ordeal. After placing the streamers outside the gate, he and his partner make a swift exit into the night sky. The streak of green light zips across the city, heading straight back to their apartment. Back home, he collapses onto his bed, comically complaining about how his life has been completely upended. His spectral partner, enveloped in a modest aura, cheerfully announces that it's time to sleep. Flustered, he throws up a hand, desperately trying to maintain some personal space before they both turn in for the night. He rummages through his drawers, searching for a solution to their sleeping arrangement. Producing a second blanket, he firmly establishes a boundary for the night. His spectral partner pouts, clearly unhappy with the new sleeping situation. Ignoring her displeasure, he turns his back and promptly goes to sleep. Despite his efforts, they end up sleeping side by side, finally getting a peaceful night's rest. The next morning, the three streamers awaken groggily outside the school gate. The woman is the first to stir, her eyes opening with a look of dazed confusion. She vigorously shakes her two companions, trying to rouse them from their deep slumber. After a sharp slap, she scolds them for their cluelessness, reminding them of the danger they faced. The two men finally come to, trying to recall the night's events and realizing they were rescued. A sudden memory flashes in the woman's mind, her eyes widening with realization. She frantically demands to see the phone, desperate to confirm what she just remembered. The blonde man finds the device in his pocket, confused about how it got there as she urges him to play the footage. The video plays back the night's impossible events, showing the epic battle against the colossal spirit. They stare at the screen in awe, concluding that the famous influencer must have been the one who saved them. The older streamer's eyes gleam with ambition, realizing their captured footage is a ticket to viral fame. The woman contemplates the truth, understanding now that their hero was fighting a real monster all along. As dusk falls over the city, she wonders about his mysterious partner and her true identity. Elsewhere, Mr. Fang Ning's eyes slowly open as he awakens from his deep sleep. He sits up in bed, a profound sense of melancholy washing over him as he greets the afternoon. He turns over in bed, startled by a sudden movement beside him. He finds his spectral partner sleeping soundly, a talisman resting on her forehead. A gentle smile crosses his face as he reaches out to adjust the paper charm. The moment is broken by his phone ringing, showing an incoming call from manager Wang. He calmly answers the call, maintaining his composure. The director's excited voice announces their video has reached a staggering 90 million views, leaving him stunned. He tries to play it cool, but the director chides him for his extreme humility. The manager excitedly details their newfound fame, explaining they are a top trending topic. A strange humming sound interrupts the director, who nervously asks if something is wrong. Flustered, he tries to continue the call as his oblivious partner embraces him in her sleep. As she murmurs in her sleep, he resolves to earn enough money to give her a better life. Overwhelmed, he comically uses a secret technique to slip away from her grasp and escape the room. Now in the living room, he calmly encourages the director to continue with his report. The director reveals a lucrative offer from a major platform, including a signing bonus and future promotions. Barely containing his excitement, he eagerly agrees to the deal, stunned by the massive payout. After the call, he collapses onto the couch, reflecting on how his life has changed since meeting Jiang Li. He marvels at the incredible supernatural experiences he's had, a world he never knew existed. Peeking into the bedroom, he realizes his newfound purpose is to provide for her. He recalls their terrifying first encounter, a stark contrast to their current relationship. Now seeing her as indispensable, he resolves to help find her lost memories, vowing to respect her choice, whatever it may be. He resolves to make more videos, needing a steady source of fear to restore her power and find her lost memories. Deciding to research local urban legends for their next target, he heads to the bathroom to freshen up. A sudden red streak zips past his head, startling him as he leans over the sink. His eyes widen in alarm, a bead of sweat tracing his temple as he processes the strange event. His reflection twists into a monstrous green-hued apparition with a grotesque stitched smile. The reflection's eyes are pitch-black voids, pierced by a single glowing green point of light. Unimpressed by the scare tactic, he clenches a fist wreathed in golden energy, ordering the entity to stop its games. He smashes his fist through the mirror, shattering the glass and the terrifying illusion with it. As the glass shatters around him, each fragment still reflects the monstrous face, leaving him utterly confused. A sudden sharp pain lances through his head, and he clutches it in agony as his hair begins to turn green. He realizes a malevolent entity is in the bathroom and knows he must find his partner for help. He urgently calls out for Jiang Li, his voice filled with alarm. His surroundings suddenly warp into an endless, disorienting green corridor filled with floating mirror shards. He stares in disbelief, a bead of sweat tracing his temple as he struggles to process the impossible scene. A small, dark creature darts through the bizarre dimension, its form reflected in the floating glass. Beams of green light shoot from the shards, and he questions the nature of this strange new reality. Enraged that his home has been invaded, he unleashes his golden spiritual aura. He lunges through the distorted space, reaching out to grab the mysterious, fast-moving creature. The entity reveals its true form, a monstrous, green-glowing squirrel with a terrifying fanged grin. His hair now fully green, he clenches a fist, vowing to destroy the creature for its audacity. He launches a powerful punch, his green-tinged fist shattering the shadowy creature. But his attack backfires as a viscous black substance erupts from the impact, ensnaring him. The monstrous squirrel gloats, revealing its attack was merely bait for a far more sinister trap. Paralyzed and in agony, he feels an excruciating stabbing sensation as the substance spreads. He is completely consumed by the dark ooze, his own golden energy erupting violently from within. His spiritual power is quickly devoured by the encroaching darkness, leaving him helpless. The creature looms over his trapped form, confidently declaring his imminent demise. But the squirrel's victory is cut short as it's suddenly struck by an unseen force. His eyes widen in disbelief as the bizarre reality around him begins to unravel. Snapping back to his living room, he finds the monster gone and a very confused chicken flying away from him. The monstrous squirrel head, the true form of the attacker, rolls defeatedly across the floor. Hearing his partner's voice, he turns with a look of lingering confusion. Zhang Li appears from the bedroom, her expression filled with concern as she asks if he is all right. She immediately embraces him, relieved to find him safe from the unseen danger. Still disoriented, he struggles to understand what happened as she explains he was targeted by a spirit. She expresses her relief, glad she arrived just in time to neutralize the threat. He recovers his composure, questioning her claim while she clarifies it was a mental attack. His eyes fall upon a strange collar in the sink, realizing the attack was not random. She explains the grave danger he was in, warning that the spirit's trap could have caused permanent damage. He vows to find the culprit, while his partner comically declares her own furious intent to protect him. He examines the collar, realizing its tag means they've been under surveillance. He tells his partner to get dressed while he cleans up the mess, trying to regain a sense of normalcy. Sweeping up the remains, he reflects on his near-death experience, grateful for her intervention. He admits his recent success made him arrogant, a dangerous oversight that almost cost him his life. Analyzing his new power, he realizes it's useless against mental attacks, exposing a critical weakness. He concludes the enemy is hiding in the shadows and resolves to go on the offensive. His thoughts are interrupted as his partner calls out, announcing she has finished changing. She appears wearing his jacket, happily noting that it smells just like him. Flustered by her playful antics, he demands she return his jacket, but she cheekily refuses. As she floats away, a police ID card slips from the jacket's pocket, falling to the floor. He stares at the fallen police ID, a silent question forming in his mind. Elsewhere, a woman with glasses suffers a violent backlash from her failed attack. A man in a suit demands to know why she failed to locate their targets. She cries out in terror, revealing her powerful shadow squirrel spirit has been destroyed. Her colleagues are stunned, knowing her spirit was a high-grade mental attacker. She recalls a terrifying force that instantly obliterated her spirit, leaving her shaken. A menacing figure in a skull mask approaches, and she desperately begs for mercy. She pleads with the silent man, hoping he will speak on her behalf to a superior. He grabs her chin, his chilling demeanor offering no comfort for her failure. In the shadows, he declares that someone must be held accountable for losing both their asset and their test subject. The masked man coldly dismisses her, stating she is powerless without her spirit. The consequences of her failure are swift and final, as he explains their organization has no room for weakness. He and his subordinate question why the spirit hunter interfered with their long-hidden asset. The masked man resolves to warn the organization and launch a full investigation into the hunter's identity. Consumed by a dark aura, he vows that the hunter will compensate for their loss with his life. The scene shifts to a quiet, sunlit cafe, a stark contrast to the previous dark meeting. Inside, a serious-looking man with red hair and a scar sits alone reading a book. The man waves over Mr. Fang Ning, who has arrived for their scheduled meeting. Mr. Fang Ning takes a seat opposite the man, who is revealed to be an officer named Xiang. He places the mysterious collar on the table, asking the officer for his expertise. The officer's eyes widen in shock, recognizing the sinister energy emanating from the collar. His mind races as he identifies the mark of a dangerous organization known only as the Abyss. Confused by the officer's reaction, Mr. Fang Ning asks for an explanation of this mysterious group. Officer Zhang ignores the question, instead demanding to know how he came to possess such a dangerous item. He recounts his battle with the monstrous squirrel spirit, explaining the collar was all that remained. The officer correctly guesses that Mr. Fang Ning's powers are newly awakened, as he's clueless about the Abyss. He warns that surviving the attack was pure luck, and that his perception of reality is about to change forever. The officer begins to explain the hidden world of spirits and demons that exist unseen by normal humans. He reveals that a select few are born with immense spiritual energy, becoming powerful ability users. While most are born with their gifts, he explains that a rare few, like Mr. Fang Ning, awaken their powers later in life. The officer details a power hierarchy, categorizing both humans and spirits by their energy levels. He reveals the government uses memory-altering abilities to keep the supernatural world a secret from the public. The government identifies and records all gifted individuals from birth, monitoring their innate energy. Once they turn 16, these individuals are recruited into an official organization of spirit hunters. He explains the choice is simple: join the organization or have your powers sealed and memories wiped clean. The officer notes that while most spirits are born of resentment, some possess bizarre, unpredictable powers. Mr. Fang Ning questions why he's had to handle recent threats alone if so many hunters exist. The officer grimly admits that a recent surge in paranormal activity has left the hunters overwhelmed and short-staffed. He then reveals a new, more dangerous threat has appeared: humans who possess their own supernatural spirits. The officer specifies these are unregistered individuals who awaken their powers later in life, making them dangerously unpredictable. The officer explains these unregistered users are often outcasts, driven by desperation and scorned by society. He continues that while their numbers are small, they hide in plain sight, forcing the government to use a vast surveillance network to catch them. Their isolation and power often lead them down a dark path, twisting their desires into something monstrous. He reveals a far greater threat: a mysterious organization that appeared 40 years ago, recruiting rogue users and even poaching official hunters. The officer grimly recalls a devastating civil conflict from that time, a conflict that cost the hunters dearly. This new organization has been rebelling ever since, but their headquarters remains a well-guarded secret. He reveals their sinister methods, including cultivating spirits through cruel experiments to harvest energy. Mr. Fang Ning holds up the collar, finally understanding the true danger it represents. The officer confirms his fears, stating the collar's serial number proves his attacker was from the organization known as the Abyss. When asked about a motive, the officer speculates that Mr. Fang Ning must have unknowingly disrupted one of their plans, making this a direct retaliation. He connects the dots, deducing the school principal must have been involved with the Abyss. He asks how to find the organization, but the officer admits they've been unable to track them down. The officer explains that captured members have a self-destruct mechanism, making interrogation impossible. Officer Xiang begins to explain soul techniques, assuming Mr. Fang Ning is completely ignorant. With a confident smirk, he internally wonders if his own mastery of these techniques makes him a genius. The officer warns that while humans struggle with these powers, spirits wield them instinctively, making them unpredictable foes. Frustrated, he slams the table, realizing he's a vulnerable target as long as the Abyss remains hidden. The officer extends an invitation to join the spirit hunters, offering the safety of their fortified headquarters. He hesitates, concerned his powers are tied to Zhang Li and might vanish if she ever leaves him. Officer Zhang leans in close, correctly guessing that Mr. Fang Ning is hiding something important. He politely declines the offer, cautiously asking if they intend to lock him up or wipe his memory. The officer explains that while late bloomers are usually investigated, he's willing to trust his own judgment. He slides a card across the table, noting that Mr. Fang Ning has already proven himself by saving someone from a malevolent spirit. Mr. Fang Ning examines the card, learning it's an ID for external hunters, a way for independent users to operate officially. The officer explains the card grants him freedom, provided he reports any dangerous spirits to the local association. Having shared all he can, the officer offers a final solemn warning to be careful. He leaves a notebook with more information, instructing Mr. Fang Ning to report any new leads immediately. As the officer walks away, he calls out, demanding to know who Officer Xiang really is. The man pauses, his expression unreadable as he considers the question. He cryptically claims to be a simple officer before disappearing into the light, leaving his new recruit with more questions than answers. He sits down, the name of the sinister organization echoing in his mind. Reading the officer's notes, he feels relieved to finally have a name for his mysterious enemy. He examines his new hunter ID, which pulses with a faint golden light. He marvels at the card's advanced technology, as it projects a holographic image of him. The hologram confirms his new status as an external hunter, visible only to those with spiritual sight. His mind races with suspicion, questioning how a simple officer could possess such authority. His train of thought is broken by the waitress, who cheerfully presents him with the bill. He stares in disbelief, completely caught off guard by the unexpected expense. He protests that he didn't order anything, but she explains the officer insisted they not be disturbed. Annoyed, he realizes the officer slyly left him to cover the entire bill. Walking with his partner, he worries about the abyss and the urgent need to restore her power. He asks if there are other ways for her to regain energy, but she can't think of any. He probes further, wondering if there's a more efficient way to harvest fear than just making videos. She excitedly suggests they could scare people directly, explaining that more intense fear means faster recovery. He briefly entertains the idea of opening a haunted house where she could be the main attraction, but he quickly dismisses the plan, realizing it's far too expensive for his current budget. Their brainstorming is interrupted as a man runs recklessly around a corner. The man stumbles and crashes hard into a wall right beside them. Mr. Fang Ning approaches the fallen man, concerned about his well-being. The man looks up with tears of joy, recognizing him as the hero who saved him. The man excitedly grabs Mr. Fang Ning, proclaiming him to be the savior who rescued him in the alley. Mr. Fang Ning calmly introduces himself and asks about the man's well-being and why he's in such a hurry. With a heavy sigh, the man hints that the reason for his haste is a very long story. He enthusiastically invites them to a nearby cafe to chat, insisting that it will be his treat. The scene shifts to the exterior of a cozy cafe, the very same one Mr. Fang Ning just left. Inside, the grateful man offers to buy whatever drinks Mr. Fang Ning and his partner would like. Mr. Fang Ning internally groans, realizing he's been dragged right back to the place he just escaped. The man cheerfully orders 3 expensive cold brews from the same waitress as before. The cafe staff gossip amongst themselves, recognizing him as the guy who was just with Officer Xiang. Xu Tianhua explains he never got a chance to properly thank him, leading Mr. Fang Ning to ask what he wanted to talk about. Xu Tianhua admits he was searching for an exorcist, hoping the renowned Mr. Fang could offer some advice. Confused, Mr. Fang questions why he needs another exorcist, wondering if he's encountered a new supernatural threat. His eyes glow with golden intensity as he realizes this might be another genuine case. The man nervously explains the new haunting is at his company, and Mr. Fang agrees to hear him out. Overjoyed, Zhu Tianhua bows deeply in gratitude just as the waitress arrives with their order. He awkwardly apologizes for his sudden outburst while the waitress smiles patiently. As the drinks are served, Zhangli eyes her cup with a mixture of curiosity and confusion. She stares at the steaming beverage, completely mesmerized by the strange human custom. Mr. Fang leans in to whisper, gently explaining to his clueless partner that the liquid is for drinking. With a blush, she tentatively licks the hot drink, getting her very first taste of coffee. Zhu Tianhua eyes the spectral partner with suspicion, noting the strange talisman on her forehead. Undeterred, Zhangli takes a delighted sip of her coffee, thoroughly enjoying the new experience. He quickly dismisses his doubts, figuring someone as special as Mr. Fang's companion is allowed a few quirks. The man begins his story, recalling how he was questioned by police in a hospital bed after his rescue. He explains he's the head of a VR company that has staked its entire future on one new ambitious game. His story flashes back to the day it all started, with his team preparing for the game's first test run. A technician confirms the system is online, officially beginning the first round of gameplay testing. The boss watches his character creation proceed normally on the monitor, with everything appearing stable. His in-game avatar strides confidently toward a glowing portal, ready to enter the virtual world. But upon entering, the boss is stunned, recognizing the in-game scenery with a look of pure shock. He questions why the game's starting area is an exact replica of their real-world office. A technician panics, realizing the game's code has been altered to create a scene they never designed. Suddenly, sinister red tendrils erupt within the game, ensnaring the virtual employees. In the real world, a frantic employee grabs the boss, demanding to know what's happening inside the game. The boss insists they continue the test, determined to unmask the person behind the strange event. A lead technician takes charge, ordering his team to monitor the boss while he checks the security cameras for intruders. Back in the cafe, the man explains that the CCTV footage revealed something even more disturbing. On the surveillance monitors, they watched in horror as the empty office's computers began typing on their own. The technician and a security guard stare in disbelief, unable to explain the paranormal activity. Realizing the true danger, they race back to the main office to shut down the test run immediately. He explains that upon his return, the situation in the main office had become a scene of pure chaos. The boss was trapped in the VR chair, writhing in agony as a dark spiritual force consumed him. The lead technician grabs his colleague, furiously demanding they stop the test run immediately. The terrified employee can only stammer that the office is haunted by a malevolent spirit. The entire team descends into panic, scrambling to disconnect the boss from the corrupted system. In a desperate move, the technician prepares to smash the equipment to sever the connection. The boss's mind is shown trapped in a state of pure terror, experiencing the full force of the haunting. The technician frantically orders the security guard to call for an ambulance as the situation spirals out of control. Back in the present, Zhu Tianhua explains the incident caused many employees to quit, putting his entire project on hold. Unwilling to give up, he reveals he hired a renowned exorcist to cleanse his company of the ghost. Mr. Fang Ning internally scoffs, realizing the so-called expert's methods were completely useless. Zhu Tianhua sighs in defeat, admitting that Mr. Fang Ning's skepticism was spot on. The story flashes back to the exorcist performing a ritual, confidently promising to cleanse the office. He then arrogantly declares victory, oblivious to the terrified employees pointing behind him. A terrifying shadowy entity with glowing red eyes materializes directly behind the clueless exorcist. The so-called master and the employees flee in absolute terror from the vengeful spirit. Zhu Tianhua explains he was seeking another expert when he found Mr. Fang, convinced it was fate. He breaks down in tears, desperately pleading for help before his company and life fall apart. Mr. Fang Ning reluctantly agrees to help, but not without mentioning a small condition. He slyly mentions his busy schedule, hinting that his time is extremely valuable. The man slides a gold card across the table, offering a hefty sum for his help. Mr. Fang Ning is stunned by the lucrative offer, realizing it's the perfect way to help Jiang Li recover. Misinterpreting his silence, the man anxiously asks if the payment is enough, desperate for his assistance. He graciously accepts the deal as the man promises an even larger bonus once the game is released. Composing himself, he agrees to tackle the problem that very night and asks for the company's address. He then cheekily reminds the grateful man to also include the card's PIN number. Later that night, he and his spectral partner arrive at the towering modern office building. He raises a hand to the sky, internally motivated by the massive payday. He rallies his partner with a speech about justice, while she is more excited about the reward of a good meal. Getting serious, he asks for her assessment, and she confirms the spirit is a grade 4 entity. With the gold card in hand, he and his partner prepare to enter the haunted building. He swipes the access card and the electronic lock grants them entry. Before entering, he leans against the glass door, ready to start their next viral video. He begins his live stream with his signature, charismatic introduction for his followers. Now inside the lobby, he sets the scene for his audience, explaining they're at a famous game company late at night. He lists some of the company's well-known games, establishing its former success. He reveals the company nearly went bankrupt before a new owner pivoted them toward VR gaming. He explains that despite their successful transition, a new disaster now threatens to ruin them completely. With a determined look, he tells his viewers to follow along as he investigates the mystery. Standing before an elevator, he begins to recount the events of the disastrous test run 3 days prior. He explains the tester logged in, only to find himself in an office map the designers never created. The team discovered the game's code was erased and rushed to check the surveillance footage for answers. With a serious expression, he tells his viewers that what they saw next was even more frightening. The footage revealed the empty office's computers mysteriously booting up on their own. As he presses the elevator button, he adds that keyboards began typing as if an invisible person was there. The elevator ascends as he explains the team tried to stop the test, but it was already too late. He finishes his tale, noting the traumatized employees were sent to the hospital as the elevator doors opened to a sinister red floor. With a confident smirk, he steps out, sensing the unwelcoming presence waiting for him. A glitchy neon sign on the wall ominously invites him to welcome our game. He checks his phone, finding no signal and realizing he's been trapped by the entity. He cleverly wedges the elevator door open with his hand, preventing it from closing completely. Confident that his spy movie knowledge will pay off, he prepares to face whatever lies beyond. With a confident smirk, he peers through the crack, ready to make his grand entrance. Stepping into the hallway, he observes the ominous red markings, realizing the spirit wants to play a game. He approaches the main office, identifying it as the room where the paranormal activity began. Upon opening the door, they are immediately ambushed by a swarm of shadowy, red-eyed creatures. He unleashes a powerful blast of golden energy, instantly obliterating the attacking entities. Amidst the dissipating shadows, his partner points out that the defeated creatures left something behind. He picks up a keyboard, speculating that collecting these items might be the key to luring out the main spirit. But as he inspects it, a tendril of dark energy suddenly bursts from a key, striking his hand. His partner happily absorbs the residual energy from the defeated creatures through his phone. A nearby computer screen flickers to life, displaying a cryptic, glitching message in green. He peers into the main office, where a sinister red aura emanates from the far end of the room. He asks his partner to pinpoint the entity, but she reveals it's hiding in another dimension. He realizes the spirit is trying to lure him into the company's VR game. A nearby monitor confirms his suspicion, flashing a clear invitation to join the game. Despite his partner's warning of a trap, he sits in the VR chair, convinced the spirit wants to communicate. He reasons that the entity hasn't physically harmed anyone, suggesting its intentions might not be purely malicious. Still, he asks her to stay alert and warn him of any danger, and she readily agrees. He puts on the headset, his consciousness instantly plunging into a digital world of cascading code. He marvels at the hyper-realistic virtual world, speculating it's the spirit's unique power. Standing on a glowing grid, he confidently calls out to the entity, accepting its challenge. The digital void shatters as a crackle of blue energy tears through the darkness. His surroundings reform into the company office, now populated by ghostly, faceless employees. He analyzes the scene, concluding it's a memory from the past and that the faceless figures are merely background characters. The scene shifts again, placing him in an interview where two shadowy figures question his motives for joining the company. He's suddenly pushed through a wall, marveling at the sensation of phasing through solid objects. Now able to see their faces, he identifies two men as the main characters, just as one begins to speak of a dream. The virtual world suddenly destabilizes, and he panics, calling out for his partner as everything glitches. He turns to the calm-looking man beside him, demanding to know why the digital space is collapsing around them. His partner appears as a spectral guide, communicating through his phone within the virtual world. The memory shifts to an interview, where the company's boss questions a young applicant named Guan Wen about his ambitions. The applicant, Guan Wen, passionately shares his lifelong dream of creating games for everyone to enjoy. Filled with determination, he declares his ambition to build a better future for the company alongside his new colleagues. Impressed by his passion, the boss enthusiastically hires him on the spot, welcoming him to the team. The boss praises the new hire's impressive programming skills, predicting he will be a great asset to the company. He promises the young man a bright future, assuring him that the company's success is now in his hands. Mr. Fang Ning scoffs at the boss's grand promises, identifying the ambitious Guan Wen as the central figure in this memory. He begins to suspect that Guan Wen might be the very spirit he's hunting, trying to show him the truth. The scene shifts again, showing the once passionate employee now looking weary as he walks past Mr. Fang Ning. A masked colleague approaches the young programmer, calling him by name. Guan Wen turns from his work, looking exhausted as he asks what his coworker needs. The coworker dumps a massive pile of files on his desk, asking him to do his work for him. Guan Wen protests, explaining he's already swamped with his own coding tasks. His colleague guilts him with false praise, patting his shoulder and pressuring him to take on the extra load. The coworker quickly leaves, promising a free lunch as a meager reward for the extra work. From the sidelines, Zhang Li observes the classic case of a workplace bully taking advantage of someone too timid to say no. The memory shows Guan Wen toiling away late into the night, the sole occupant of the dark, empty office. He pushes through his exhaustion, determined to perfect his first game and make his family proud. The next morning, his co-workers arrive to find him passed out at his desk, having worked all night to finish everyone's tasks. His colleagues mock his dedication, questioning why he works so hard without overtime pay. They sneer that he's just trying to get a promotion, suggesting he should do all their work for them. Mr. Fang Ning watches in disgust, realizing this toxic work culture is why the company nearly went bankrupt. The memory shifts as another employee rushes into the office with alarming news. He breathlessly announces that the investors have pulled all funding for their ambitious new game. The devastating news jolts Guan Wen awake, his eyes wide with shock. He springs from his chair, demanding his coworker repeat what he just heard. The scene changes to the boss's office, where he tries to reason with the heartbroken programmer. The boss offers to transfer him to a new project with a significant raise, shelving the game they'd worked on. Guan Wen vehemently refuses the offer, declaring that his only desire is to finish the game he poured his heart into. The boss reluctantly agrees, giving Guan Wen 1 month to finish the game by himself. Determined, Guan Wen vows to complete the project, reminding his boss to honor their deal. The memory fast-forwards, showing calendar pages flying by as the deadline approaches. A month passes in a blur, leaving Guan Wen hunched over his keyboard, completely consumed by his work. His former colleagues mock his obsession, judging him for neglecting himself in pursuit of his passion project. The boss's shoes stop in front of his desk, and he calls out to the exhausted programmer. Looking unwell, the boss announces he's found an investor interested in the game. Guan Wen's exhaustion turns to joy, but his hope is tempered when the boss mentions a few small conditions. The investor's demands are steep, gutting the game's content and adding a pay-to-win system. Enraged, Guan Wen rejects the proposal, arguing it betrays their original vision for the sake of profit. The boss dismisses his concerns, grabbing him and insisting a raise is all that matters. But Mr. Fang Ning, channeling the programmer's rage, retorts that his creation is not for sale. The boss coldly reminds him that the game is company property and the deal is already done. He delivers a cruel ultimatum: cooperate or be fired, leaving his life's work behind. The programmer stares in disbelief, his dream shattered by corporate greed. The immense stress and heartbreak take a visible toll on his already exhausted body. The memory shows him coughing violently, a clear sign of his rapidly failing health. The scene culminates in his tragic collapse on the office floor as his colleagues panic. Mr. Fang Ning stands in the digital void, finally understanding the tragic story of the spirit named Guan Wen. The spectral form of Guan Wen materializes, apologizing for his earlier deception and explaining his fear. Mr. Fang Ning smirks, questioning if the spirit is no longer afraid of being exorcised. Guan Wen nervously explains he had no choice, fearing the powerful partner would demolish the building. He raises a hand, pleading for a temporary truce. The spirit begs for help to finish his game, insisting he only scared people to survive. Mr. Fang Ning agrees to listen, demanding to know the full story behind his death and obsession. Guan Wen reveals his soul became bound to the keyboard he died on, awakening a week later, unseen by all. He explains his presence grew, allowing him to unintentionally frighten his former colleagues at night. This led to him being sealed away by an exorcist, only to be freed by a clueless employee days later. His expression softens as he admits his deep connection to the game is because of his father. A painful memory shows his mother abandoning him and his sick father years ago. He recalls his father, despite his illness, always remaining optimistic and playing games with him. His father's smile through the pain became his inspiration to create games that bring joy to others. The memory shows him promising his father that he would be the very first to play his creation. He reflects on his youthful innocence, unaware of his father's mortality and clinging to his words. His father tearfully encouraged him, expressing how much he looked forward to that day. But that promise, like the broken controller, was a dream that could never be fulfilled. His father passed away when he was only 10, turning that childhood vow into a lifelong obsession. The spirit desperately pleads with Mr. Fang Ning to help him complete the game and honor his father's memory. Mr. Fang Ning processes the tragic story, connecting the dots between the spirit, the game, and the haunting. He suddenly grabs the startled spirit, demanding to know the full extent of his powers within the virtual world. The spirit reveals he can build and reprogram entire worlds within the VR space. He explains he needs a real-world partner for legal matters, while Mr. Fang Ning asks about the game's realism. Guan Wen confirms he can simulate all 5 senses, and Mr. Fang Ning demands to be let out before his partner gets impatient. Taking off the headset, he immediately asks if the spirit can manifest in the real world. The spirit explains it takes energy but projects his image onto a nearby monitor. He then fully materializes his spectral form, floating beside the VR chair as Mr. Fang Ning looks on. The programmer's spirit awkwardly admits he's not used to this form, prompting a silent jab from Jiang Li about his social anxiety. Now out of the game, Mr. Fang Ning quickly tells his partner to stop the livestream recording. Jiang Li's eyes sparkle with hunger as she asks if she can devour their new spectral acquaintance. He frantically stops her, declaring the spirit is a good guy and that he has a much better plan for him. His partner sulks with puffed cheeks, clearly disappointed she can't devour the new spirit. He reassures her with a smile, promising his new plan means she'll never go hungry again. The next day, Zhu Tianhua waits anxiously outside his company, calling out for the exorcist. He rushes into the office, nervously asking if the haunting has been dealt with. Mr. Fang Ning confirms the spirit is gone, but immediately pivots to a new business proposal. A confused Zhu Tianhua holds the offered tablet, questioning the sudden business talk. The spirit of Guan Wen suddenly emerges from the tablet, leaving Zhu Tianhua screaming in shock. Terrified, the company head hides behind Mr. Fang Ning, begging him to exorcise the ghost. He calmly restrains the panicked man, introducing him to the spirit and telling him to get used to it. As Zhu Tianhua protests, Zhang Li curiously sizes up the nervous spirit, who fears he's about to become her next meal. Mr. Fang Ning confidently explains to the bewildered company head that they will be collaborating on a new VR horror game. He assigns their roles, with the spirit as the developer, himself as the creative lead, and Zhu Tianhua as the publisher. Seeing the man's hesitation, he hands him the VR headset and encourages him to test the concept for himself. Zhu Tianhua nervously puts on the headset, his world dissolving into a stream of digital energy. Walking away, he internally celebrates his new business venture, which nets him a 30% cut of the profits. His partner interrupts his thoughts, pouting and complaining that she's still hungry. He reassures her, promising that their new game will be the perfect source of fear for her to feed on. Delighted by the news, she embraces him affectionately, and he blushes at the sudden display. Now flush with cash from the deal, he hails a taxi, ready for a celebratory shopping trip. His partner questions the need for new clothes, leading to a comical and flustered explanation about sleepwear. She excitedly suggests they fly, but he quickly reminds her that using powers in public is strictly forbidden. He leads her to their destination, a boutique specializing in intimate apparel. He explains this is to solve her pajama situation, while she questions the practicality of the revealing garments. As they step inside, a bubbly saleswoman welcomes them into the store. The shop is filled with an array of delicate and lacy undergarments on display. The friendly employee approaches, asking if he needs help picking something out for his girlfriend. He awkwardly presents his clueless partner, asking for help finding something that would suit her. The saleswoman gets straight to business, asking for her measurements to find the perfect fit. His spectral partner blushes, completely bewildered by the very concept of a bust size. Seeing her confusion, he cheekily asks the employee to take her measurements for them, much to his partner's horror. The saleswoman playfully brandishes her measuring tape, instructing the spectral partner to raise her arms. As the first measurement is taken, his partner freezes in shock, her face flushing a deep red. Her eyes swirl with mortification, completely overwhelmed by the unfamiliar human custom. Suddenly, a tendril of red energy yanks the measuring tape, pulling the surprised employee forward. The flustered spirit glares angrily, her powers lashing out in embarrassment as the saleswoman stares in confusion. Mr. Fang Ning gently pats her head, calmly explaining the purpose of the measurements to soothe her. He holds her steady as the fitting continues, clarifying that different garments require precise sizing. The employee finishes, complimenting his partner's impressive figure as she shyly looks away. Now armed with the correct size, the saleswoman presents a wide variety of styles for them to choose from. She then cheekily presents a far more daring option, leaving both Mr. Fang Ning and his partner speechless with embarrassment. His spectral partner blushes furiously, pleading with him to let her skip wearing the unfamiliar garments. He confidently takes over from the saleswoman, assuring her he can help his partner make a selection. Once they're alone, he holds up a pink garment and asks his partner why she's so hesitant. She eyes the delicate item with suspicion, complaining that it looks uncomfortably tight and has very little fabric. He explains its purpose is to be worn under her clothes for support, pushing her toward the fitting room. He presents her with a variety of styles, telling her to try them on and choose the one she likes best. Overwhelmed by the options, she reluctantly disappears behind the curtain to try them on. Leaning against the wall, he wonders how his new business partners, Guan Wen and Zhu Tianhua, are faring. The scene cuts to a terrified Zhu Tianhua, pointing in panic as he questions Mr. Fang Ning's decision. Mr. Fang Ning calmly explains to the distraught man that the spirit needs a dedicated space to develop their new game. The spirit of Guan Wen politely asks to be taken care of, but Zhu Tianhua stammers in protest. Mr. Fang Ning lists the perks of a ghost employee, pointing out he's a tireless worker and a built-in security system. Zhu Tianhua sweats nervously, seriously contemplating the bizarre but logical business proposal. Finally convinced, the company head shakes hands with the spirit, officially sealing their strange new partnership. Back at the boutique, Mr. Fang Ning calls out for his partner, wondering what's taking her so long. He peeks into the fitting room, surprised by the silence and asking what's wrong. A tiny chibi version of him pops his head around the curtain, calling out to her again. She emerges, looking embarrassed in the new attire and questioning his actions. Completely baffled by the new clothing, she asks him for instructions on how to wear it. A flustered Mr. Fang Ning grabs the garment from her, ordering her to turn around and wait for his signal. He instructs his flustered partner on how to wear the new garments, telling her to try on a few more. Leaving her to hide behind the curtain, he promises to grab a complete outfit for her. He confidently selects a dress and a pair of high heels, determined to complete her new look. He asks the saleswoman to take the new clothes to his partner in the fitting room. As the employee walks away, he sighs in relief, admitting to himself that shopping is more intense than he thought. While resting on a nearby couch, a familiar female voice suddenly calls out his name. His eyes widen in shock as he tries to place the voice from his past. He looks up to see a stylish woman with pink hair approaching him, arm in arm with her companion. The woman's partner asks if she knows him, and she coolly reveals that Mr. Fang Ning is her ex. She explains she briefly dated him in college after mistaking him for a senior when he was just a campus salesman. Mr. Fang Ning calmly corrects his ex, reminding her that she was the one who pursued him back in the day. Her new partner smirks, mockingly introducing himself while holding her possessively. The ex scoffs at his presence in the expensive store, belittling him about his past financial struggles. Unfazed, he coolly assures her that he can easily afford whatever he wants now. The new boyfriend laughs condescendingly, accusing him of scamming his new girlfriend. He then playfully scolds his partner for her harsh words, though his tone is clearly insincere. Mr. Fang Ning cringes, completely exasperated by their dramatic public performance. His irritation vanishes as he detects a faint, sinister energy swirling around the new boyfriend. The man remains oblivious, looking at his girlfriend without a hint of the dark aura he carries. When confronted for staring, Mr. Fang Ning quickly dismisses it, claiming he was just lost in thought. The boyfriend smirks, suggesting they all have dinner together, clearly trying to assert his dominance. Mr. Fang Ning immediately shuts him down, having no time for their petty drama. Their confrontation is cut short as his partner's voice calls out, drawing everyone's attention. She steps out in a stylish new outfit, looking incredible but commenting on the unfamiliar feeling of her new shoes. He reassures her with a gentle pat, and she beams, declaring she loves the sparkly new clothes. Turning to the saleswoman, he confidently hands over his gold card, announcing he's buying every outfit she tried on. The ex and her boyfriend are left speechless, completely stunned by the massive cost of his purchase. The cheerful employee hands back his card along with a new VIP membership for his generous spending. With his partner on his arm and bags in hand, he walks away, leaving the bitter couple in his dust. Undeterred, the boyfriend makes one last desperate move, trying to impress the spectral partner with his business card. Mr. Fang Ning calmly brushes the man's hand aside, telling him to get out of their way. The boyfriend's ego is bruised, and he angrily accuses Mr. Fang Ning of disrespecting him. Turning back with a knowing look, he warns the man about the dark, unclean energy he carries. The ex furiously corrects him on her boyfriend's name as Mr. Fang Ning walks away, completely unfazed. His mind flashes to a vision of the man running terrified down a haunted hospital hallway. In the vision, the man clutches stacks of cash, overjoyed that he can finally pay for his son's medical bills. But his joy instantly turns to horror as he realizes the devastating truth of his situation. The vision shows his son in a hospital bed, accompanied by his father and a sinister, skull-masked figure. The skull-masked man's glasses glow with a malevolent power, revealing him as the source of the dark energy. Back in the present, Mr. Fang Ning leaves the couple behind, his arms full of shopping bags from his successful day. Back at home, he collapses onto the couch, completely drained from their shopping trip. He playfully flicks her forehead, telling her not to tease him about his exhaustion. He reminds her that the new clothes cost a fortune, warning her not to destroy them with her powers. She reveals she can store all the outfits in her magical hairpin, eliminating the need for a closet. With a proud smile, she explains this new ability allows her to change clothes in an instant. She demonstrates by instantly changing into a revealing two-piece outfit, seeking his approval with a coy look. A flustered Mr. Fang Ning covers his eyes, immediately ordering her to change back. She obediently switches back to her previous clothes, seemingly unfazed by his reaction. He then presents her with a gift he bought online, designating it as her new at-home attire. She excitedly dons the gift, a cozy, bunny-themed pajama set, and expresses her delight at its comfort. She thanks him affectionately, and he replies, flustered but happy that she likes his gift. Overcome with gratitude, she leans in and gives him a surprise kiss on the cheek. The tender moment is captured in a close-up, highlighting their budding connection. Their romantic bubble is abruptly popped by the ringing of his phone, leaving them both comically flustered. He quickly answers the call from his video director, trying to regain his composure. On the other end, Director Wang explains that his fan base is clamoring for a new video. Mr. Fang Ning confidently informs him that the next installment of their ghost hunt is ready to go. He immediately sends the completed video file for the Haiyuan Elementary case to his director. After the call, he awkwardly suggests it's time for bed, telling her he's going to shower. But his partner has other plans, puffing her cheeks and demanding to play mobile games. He sighs in exasperation as his partner zips around the room, feeling more like a pet owner than a ghost hunter. While showering, he reflects on his rewarding day, realizing the VR game offers another path to power. He resolves to restore her strength quickly, knowing they must be ready before a greater threat finds them. After his shower, he dries his hair and calls out for his partner. He finds her already fast asleep on the bed, despite her earlier protests. Amused, he notes she passed out mid-game and gently tucks her in. In her sleep, she blushes and murmurs a heartfelt marriage proposal to someone from her past. Her unexpected words leave him completely frozen in shock. He lets out a long, conflicted sigh, unsure how to react to her dream confession. Lying awake in bed, he wonders about the person she still loves after a millennium, admitting a pang of envy. He resolves to help her recover her memories and power so she can finally find her long-lost love. Meanwhile, at a hospital, the ex-boyfriend's son happily greets his father, reporting his miraculous recovery. The boy explains he was just chatting with a new friend, the skull-masked man from Mr. Fang Ning's vision. The man's friendly demeanor is betrayed by the menacing way he peels an apple with a sharp knife. The boy's father, Boss Q, enters the room, shocked to find the skull-masked man, Mr. Chang, waiting for him. Mr. Chang puts down his knife, his question dripping with unspoken threat. Dark energy erupts from Mr. Chang as he accuses the father of profiting from their intel. He unleashes a binding spell, trapping the terrified men as they stammer apologies. Holding a glowing orb, the skull-masked man leans in, demanding answers. His face twists into a monstrous form as he furiously interrogates the man about a murdered spirit infant. Boss Q kneels and desperately pleads for mercy, insisting he knows nothing. The skull-masked man scoffs, unimpressed by the man's pleas. To force his hand, Mr. Chang uses his dark power to lift the terrified boy into the air. The boy screams in agony, ensnared by swirling tendrils of malevolent energy. The father grabs his tormentor's leg, begging him to spare his son. Mr. Chang cruelly grabs the man's face, asking if the pain is jogging his memory. In his terror, Boss Q suddenly recalls Mr. Fang Ning's ominous warning. The sight of his son suffering a painful blow finally shatters his resolve. Broken, the father agrees to talk, willing to do anything to save his child. With his victim finally cooperating, the skull-masked man looks on with cold satisfaction. The broken man gives up Mr. Fang Ning's name and number, explaining he was instructed to do so. Mr. Chang confirms the number's link to the missing soul infant, his investigation finding its target. The father cradles his unconscious son, pleading for him to hold on as a threatening hand reaches out. Having confessed everything, the man begs for their freedom, hoping for a sliver of mercy. The skull-masked man agrees with a wide, sinister grin, his promise clearly a cruel lie. In a shocking betrayal, he unleashes a final, devastating blow against the father. The boy's eyes widen in absolute terror as he witnesses his father's final moments. The subordinate reveals his monstrous form, laughing maniacally at their successful deception. Fueled by rage and grief, the son lunges at the monstrous figure, screaming in defiance. His desperate charge ends in an instant as he is effortlessly struck down by his powerful foe. Standing over the aftermath, the subordinate asks Mr. Chang if they should call their new lead. But Mr. Chang, radiating with power, decides against it, preferring a personal visit to their target. Elsewhere, a seemingly kind nurse enters a patient's room with a tray of medication, but a close-up of her eyes reveals a chilling and unsettling intensity. She glances back into the darkened room, a silent witness to the grim scene within. Miles away, Mr. Fang Ning tosses and turns, trapped in a nightmare as his phone begins to ring. He bolts upright, panting as he realizes the disturbing dream wasn't real. Annoyed by the early morning call, he reaches for his phone on the nightstand. The screen reveals the caller as his ex-girlfriend Du Feng, the woman from the boutique. The scene flashes back 3 years, showing a younger Mr. Fang Ning trying to sell study materials on campus. The memory reveals a group of female students admiring his younger self, with his future ex, Du Feng, clearly smitten. After some playful teasing from her friends, she boldly makes her move, approaching him under the autumn trees. Without hesitation, she takes his hand, marking the start of their short-lived campus romance. The flashback shows them as a seemingly happy couple, walking hand in hand through a winter scene. However, their bliss is shattered by gossip as a rival student reveals he isn't a student at all. The truth leads to a confrontation, with the jealous student grabbing him and demanding he leave the campus. His rival pulls Du Feng away, declaring him unworthy and leaving him dejected in the snow. She glances back one last time, her expression filled with disappointment as she walks away. The flashback ends, returning to the present, where her expression is a complicated mix of disdain and old memories. The scene cuts to her arriving at a lavish home, letting out a weary sigh as she steps out of a taxi. Her eyes show a mix of desperation and relief as she waits for his arrival. Mr. Fang Ning steps out of a taxi, responding to his ex-girlfriend's urgent call. She immediately rushes to embrace him, overwhelmed with relief that he came. His spectral partner materializes, glaring with intense jealousy at the unexpected hug. The ex-girlfriend apologizes for her forwardness as his partner angrily shoves her away. Zheng Li smugly declares him her husband, much to the ex-girlfriend's shock. He cuts through the tension, asking his ex to explain her frantic, incoherent phone call. She reveals his paranormal warning came true, as her boyfriend has been unresponsive since last night. Arriving at her lavish home, she leads him inside to investigate the situation on the second floor. He questions why she didn't call the authorities first as they head up the stairs. She explains her fear of not being believed, but he informs her about the official Soul Hunters department. As she opens the door, he admits he's also new to this world of organized paranormal investigation. His eyes narrow as he steps inside, immediately sensing the potent dark energy he felt before. The source is her boyfriend, lying in bed under a swirling vortex of malevolent power. The man suddenly sits up, grabbing his girlfriend and desperately begging for help, but his face contorts with rage, his glowing red eyes revealing he's no longer in control. With a sickening motion, the entity forces the man's body into an unnatural position. The possessed man clutches his own throat, his girlfriend screaming in terror at the sight. Mr. Fang Ning shoves them back, ordering them to move as he prepares to intervene. His hand ignites with golden light, ready to unleash a powerful exorcism technique. He lands a decisive, glowing blow, shocking the man out of his possessed state. He casually apologizes for his heavy-handed approach, leaving the man dazed and confused. His ex-girlfriend rushes to her partner's side, worried about his condition after the forceful intervention. Mr. Fang Ning coolly reassures them, explaining he's dispersed the lingering evil energy. He even jokes that the man will be grateful for the unconventional wake-up call. Sure enough, the boyfriend awakens feeling better than ever, completely revitalized. Overjoyed, the man thanks him profusely, but Mr. Fang Ning clarifies this was only the beginning. The man's relief turns to terror as he drops to his knees, begging for their protection. Mr. Fang Ning demands a full account of the previous night's events to understand the true threat. The couple recounts a chilling tale, starting with a slow, deliberate scratching at their bedroom door. The man recalls being woken by a screeching sound that grew steadily louder and more menacing. His girlfriend urged him to investigate the noise, which he initially brushed off as nothing serious. Reassuring her, he reluctantly got out of bed to see what was causing the disturbance. His face contorts with fear as he remembers reaching the door, only to find it mysteriously jammed. He pulled with all his strength, but the door felt as if it had been welded shut from the outside. As he struggled, his girlfriend called out, and he yelled back that he was inexplicably trapped. She then pointed toward the floor in terror, claiming she could see someone standing just outside. Following her frantic direction, he was told to get low and peek through the gap under the door. He crouched down, his mind racing as he wondered if this was all just a cruel prank. Peering into the darkness, his eye widens in shock at what he sees lurking in the hallway. The terrified man stammers, trying to explain what he witnessed to Mr. Fang Ning. He recalls seeing a pair of glowing red eyes belonging to a monstrous creature peering back at him from under the door. After the horrifying sight, he explains he lost control of his body until Mr. Fang Ning's intervention woke him. His girlfriend adds that he was unresponsive on the floor while the power was out and the windows rattled all night. She concludes their harrowing tale, explaining they barely made it through the night until he arrived. Mr. Fang Ning cuts to the chase, asking if they've recently visited any strange places or touched suspicious objects. The couple nervously denies any unusual activity, though their expressions betray their unease. Sensing their dishonesty, he warns them that he can't help if they continue to hide the truth. Frustrated by their lies, he and his partner turn to leave, prompting the panicked couple to beg them to stay. The man grits his teeth, sweating profusely as he wrestles with the decision to finally come clean. Cornered, the boyfriend finally caves and agrees to tell them everything. He nervously asks his girlfriend to explain the situation, and she reluctantly agrees. She reveals the haunting is likely connected to her boyfriend's shady business dealings. With a heavy heart, she confesses that he has been secretly involved in smuggling. She clarifies that he's been smuggling valuable and illicit antiques. Mr. Fang Ning connects the dots, realizing they avoided the police to evade a decade-long prison sentence. The boyfriend lets out a sigh of defeat, knowing his secret is out. Resigned, he stands and tells them to follow him, ready to reveal the source of the curse. He leads them to a secret basement library, explaining he recently acquired a ring from a client. Reaching for a book on the shelf, he prepares to reveal the cursed object. The boyfriend explains he activated a secret mechanism, revealing a hidden passage. He leads them down a long stone corridor lined with his collection of smuggled antiques. He presents a small, ornate box, explaining that holding the ring inside caused him immense pain and auditory hallucinations. In a flashback, he recalls throwing the unsettling ring into a public trash can, hoping to be rid of it. But to his horror, he found the ring had mysteriously reappeared on his pillow that very night. He hands the cursed object's case to Mr. Fang Ning, certain it's the source of the haunting. Mr. Fang Ning examines the case with a smirk, intrigued by the mystery and calling it a magic key. The boyfriend reveals it's an ancient artifact from the Xiang kingdom and offers it as payment for their help. Mr. Fang Ning's interest is piqued as he considers the artifact from the 1,000-year-old kingdom. The name Xiang triggers a flash of recognition, and the ring glows as he realizes its connection to his partner. Mr. Fang Ning examines the glowing artifact, a confident smirk playing on his lips. He warns the couple that this is no ordinary ghost, and dealing with it will be extremely dangerous. Desperate, the boyfriend offers a massive cash reward on top of the ring, catching Mr. Fang Ning's immediate attention. Without a second thought, he shakes on the deal, internally celebrating the huge payday. He instructs the couple to leave for the night, assuring them he'll handle the situation alone. He confidently explains they are free of any spiritual attachment, as the ring acts as an anchor for the entity. The couple flees in relief, and he calls after them, making sure they don't forget his payment. Now alone, his partner confirms the entity is hiding well, forcing them to wait for nightfall for it to reveal itself. He asks his partner if the ring's origin, the ancient Xiang kingdom, triggers any of her lost memories. She ponders the name with a thoughtful expression, admitting it sounds familiar, but she can't quite recall the details. He reassures his partner with a gentle pat, promising to help her recover her memories. He wonders if they can destroy the ring, but she explains that such anchors are indestructible until the spirit is gone. She reveals her plan to use the anchor to pinpoint the spirit's location at midnight when its energy is strongest. He speculates that their target might not wait patiently and could decide to strike first. As night falls, he sits in the dark, patiently waiting for the entity to make its move. His eyes snap open with focus as he senses the long-awaited arrival of their ghostly foe. But the tense atmosphere is shattered as his partner casually flips on the lights. He comically scolds her for ruining the mood, but she points out that nothing has happened for hours. He sighs in frustration, calling their target a coward for hiding from them. The lights suddenly go out again, and he looks up, realizing the spirit has finally answered his challenge. His partner denies flipping the switch, looking just as surprised as he is. His gaze snaps to the window, having finally pinpointed the spirit's location. He steps onto the balcony, momentarily confused by the empty space outside. Realizing this is their chance, he quickly hands his phone to his partner, telling her to start filming. He kicks off his live stream, introducing the haunted villa and the mysterious Xiang Kingdom ring. For his audience, he builds the tension, mentioning the power outage and a shadow he saw flicker past the window. A red light appears under the door, and he connects it to the boyfriend's story while wrapping up his intro. He tests the door, confirming it's inexplicably jammed shut just as he was told. Knowing what comes next, he gets on the floor to peer under the door, ready to confront the ghost eyes. He looks into the dark hallway, his own eye widening in shock as he meets the gaze of the entity. He's confused to find nothing but an empty hallway on the other side. Realizing the ghost is playing tricks, he quickly scans the room for its new location. His partner points out the curtains have been mysteriously drawn, and he realizes the ghost has moved. Convinced the entity is now outside, he decisively pulls back the curtain to confront it. His eyes widen as he's greeted by the sight of a grotesque, slimy tentacle. The full, horrifying form of a tentacled monster reveals itself, looming over him with a sinister grin. The creature's stitched face contorts with glee, its glowing red eyes locking onto him. Unfazed by the terrifying display, he ignites his fist with golden energy, ready for a fight. He unleashes a powerful, glowing punch, aiming to strike the monster down. A sudden, inexplicable gust of wind throws him off balance, causing his attack to miss. He stares out the window in disbelief, realizing the monstrous creature has vanished. Turning to his partner, he asks if she saw the beast, but she claims there was never anything there. He's stunned by her response as she recounts his strange behavior, confirming he was shadowboxing with thin air. His gaze falls upon the cursed ring, suspecting it's the source of these powerful illusions. Deciding to test his theory, he rips the ring from his finger and hurls it across the room. The artifact appears to shatter and dematerialize before it can even hit the ground. He looks at his hand in shock, exclaiming in disbelief at the impossible sight. But to his horror, the ring reappears on his finger, swirling with a dark, ominous energy. Malevolent red tendrils suddenly erupt from the cursed object, snaking around his arm. The shadowy energy tightens its grip, completely ensnaring him before he can react. He struggles against the crushing force of the dark energy, lifted helplessly into the air. Just as he's about to be overwhelmed, a golden beaded bracelet on his wrist begins to glow. A surge of protective power erupts from him, shattering the shadowy tendrils with a flash of light. He drops to one knee, panting heavily as he recovers from the intense spiritual backlash. Catching his breath, he looks around and realizes with a jolt that his partner has vanished. He finds himself completely alone in the now silent bedroom, with no sign of where she went. Realizing the spirit's tactic is to separate them, he stands up, determined not to fall for the trick. His attention is drawn to a faint red glow emanating from the nightstand drawer. Cautiously, he reaches out to open the drawer, preparing for whatever might be inside. His eye widens in sheer horror as he peers into the drawer, discovering a terrifying sight. He's confronted by a gruesome illusion depicting his partner's demise. Elsewhere, the real partner sheds a tear of blood, sensing the dark magic at play. The illusion's eyes snap open, glowing with a furious, malevolent energy. A powerful force slams into him, throwing him back across the room. He pushes himself up, defiantly dismissing the spirit's scare tactics. He smirks, realizing the spirit doesn't know their lives are linked, making the illusion useless. A doorway at the end of the hall suddenly glows with an intense red light, luring him in. He taunts the entity, questioning if it's too weak to face him directly. Accepting the challenge, he steps into the long, ominous corridor. Unimpressed, he dares the spirit to show him what other boring moves it has. The hallway leads him to a bathroom, now drenched in a gruesome crimson illusion. He casually rips back the shower curtain, completely unimpressed by the bloody scene. Leaning over the sink, he scoffs at the entity's lack of creativity, calling its tricks predictable. The monstrous spirit erupts from the sink, lunging at him with a furious shriek. Without flinching, he delivers a powerful, direct punch to the creature's face. As the monster recoils, he chides it for its ugly appearance and overly dramatic act. The stunned spirit floats back, bewildered by his complete lack of fear. He turns with a confident smirk, mockingly asking why he would be scared. Dismissing the creature, he calls its tactics old and uninspired, like leftovers from a horror film. He cracks his knuckles, explaining that fear requires ignorance, and this spirit's weak tricks are nothing to sweat over. The monstrous spirit gloats, certain he's caught in her soul trap and mocking his continued defiance. Unimpressed, he correctly deduces she used the ring to pull his consciousness into an illusion, stunning the creature with his insight. He reveals their life-death pact, declaring that faking his partner's demise was a fatal error. The spirit reels back in disbelief, refusing to believe such a powerful soul would bind herself to a mere mortal. He lands another devastating blow, sending the creature flying back as the illusionary world cracks around them. Standing over his defeated opponent, he calmly tells her to give up, as the fight is already over. The spirit sneers, refusing to surrender and promising he won't be leaving her domain alive. She channels her full power, slamming her hands to the ground to activate her terrifying soul domain. The illusion shifts, trapping him in a desolate, green-hued battlefield filled with the ghosts of ancient warriors. She floats above her undead army, lamenting his boring tactics and unleashing her full power to end the fight. The spirit gloats, believing his death will also claim his partner, allowing her to absorb both their souls. He explodes with golden energy, effortlessly weaving through the undead soldiers and striking them down. With a focused gaze, he dispatches another spectral warrior, which cries out as it disintegrates. He effortlessly parries a sword strike, his golden energy forming a protective barrier. He unleashes a flurry of golden energy slashes, cutting a path through the entire spectral army. The spirit leader watches in disbelief as her army falls, her expression shifting to fury. He closes the distance in an instant, landing a devastating, glowing chop directly on the spirit's head. Standing over his defeated foe with a newly manifested sword, he dismisses her soul domain as unimpressive. But the spirit laughs as her body regenerates, revealing she's immortal as long as her domain stands. She taunts him, explaining that her power is endless here, while every move he makes only drains his own. Unimpressed, he smirks at the undead army, eager to test their mettle. He gracefully evades a spectral soldier's lunge, preparing a swift counterattack. He casually parries a spear with a broom, showcasing his unorthodox combat skills. In a bold move, he catches a blade with his bare hand, which glows with protective energy. The spirit leader mocks his defiance, wondering if he's out of power or trying to use pain to escape. He dismisses her threat with a powerful swing of his glowing sword, calling her domain an amateur trick. She clarifies that any harm here will affect his real body as her undead legion rises. Perched on a throne of defeated souls, she thanks him for the power boost he's given her. She vows to make him suffer as her spectral soldiers swarm him from all sides. He turns the tables with a confident smirk, warning her that it's her own demise he sees approaching. He stands unfazed as the spectral army dissolves into nothingness around him. The spirit leader stares in disbelief, completely stunned by his overwhelming power. Her shock quickly turns to rage as she furiously demands to know who dares to interfere. His spectral partner materializes above, her powerful presence silencing the battlefield. Her eyes glow with a terrifying red light, a talisman on her forehead signaling her immense strength. The spirit leader recoils in fear, questioning how his partner could have possibly entered her sacred domain. A wicked grin spreads across her face as she decides to take on this new powerful challenger. She unleashes a swarm of tentacles attempting to bind the newly arrived spectral partner, but his partner effortlessly deflects the attack with an impenetrable shield of green energy. The spirit leader is thrown back, trapped and screaming within a vortex of her opponent's superior power. His partner furiously declares her protection over him, commanding the trapped spirit to submit. Back in reality, she smugly explains the monster vanished after she shattered its domain and absorbed its power. He playfully teases her, pinching her cheek and commenting on her insatiable appetite for spiritual energy. With the job done, he smiles, watching from the window as the couple stands on a nearby rooftop. Meanwhile, the skull-masked man and his subordinate track their target to the very same building. Holding a glowing red orb, Mr. Xiang grins menacingly, having finally located Fang Ning. He calls the couple, casually informing them that their paranormal problem has been resolved. The impressed boyfriend promises to return immediately, while Mr. Fang Ning cheekily reminds them about his fee. His partner confirms she has absorbed all the residual energy, and he gives a satisfied nod. He's taken aback by the couple's swift arrival, questioning if they were waiting just around the corner. His partner's eyes narrow, her expression turning serious as she senses an imminent threat. They both stop in their tracks, realizing a powerful enemy is rapidly approaching. A violent beam of crimson energy suddenly erupts from the darkness, hurtling toward them. His partner reacts instantly, shoving him out of the path of the deadly projectile. The energy blast misses him by inches, slamming into the wall with destructive force. She falls to her knees, weakened and her clothes damaged from absorbing the powerful attack. He looks on in horror, crying out her name as he sees her injured state. The skull-masked man, Mr. Xiang, descends menacingly, his hand glowing with dark power. He brandishes a glowing red artifact, preparing to ensnare the weakened spirit. With a cruel grin, Mr. Xiang unleashes his soul artifact, a cage designed to trap spirits. The artifact's chains slam into her protective shield, which begins to crack under the immense pressure. Her green barrier shatters completely, leaving her vulnerable to the incoming red chains. The glowing red chains instantly bind her wrists and neck, suppressing her spiritual power. Completely restrained, she struggles helplessly against the powerful soul-binding artifact. Enraged, Mr. Fang Ning ignites with golden power and charges at the skull-masked man, demanding her release. Mr. Xiang coolly intercepts the furious punch, his dark energy easily neutralizing the golden attack. With a casual flick of his wrist, the villain sends Mr. Fang Ning flying back across the room. Mr. Fang Ning recovers quickly, landing in a fighting stance, ready to face the overwhelming odds. Mr. Xiang's subordinate appears, smugly mocking their efforts and the captured spirit's weakness. Trapped within the crimson cage, his partner cries out in desperation, her power completely sealed. The subordinate mocks her futile struggle, revealing the chains are a new, inescapable soul-binding artifact. Mr. Xiang gloats with a sinister grin, confident that his advanced cage will hold her indefinitely. Despite her agony, she desperately urges Mr. Fang Ning to run, prioritizing his escape over her own. The subordinate turns his attention to Mr. Fang Ning, correctly identifying him as their target. Mr. Fang Ning's face twists with rage as he realizes Boss Q must have led them here. The villain confirms Boss Q's betrayal, revealing the blood-stained phone and hinting at his grim fate. He then sadistically recounts the horrific end he brought upon both the father and his son. Seething with fury, Mr. Fang Ning demands to know the identity of these ruthless killers. Mr. Xiang coolly recites Mr. Fang Ning's entire life story, revealing a mysterious and erased past. In a chilling reveal, the villain cryptically claims that they are both just like him. The villain begins his tale, describing a massive fire that razed the Qianxing orphanage to the ground 16 years ago. He explains that while every child survived, the director and 3 staff members died in what was officially ruled an accidental explosion. The fire, however, exposed the director's child trafficking operation, leading to the downfall of an entire criminal ring. Amid the chaos of transferring the survivors to a shelter, one young orphan mysteriously vanished without a trace. A decade later, that same boy was found living independently and chose to remain on his own despite offers of government aid. Mr. Xiang chillingly reveals that the missing orphan from all those years ago was, in fact, Mr. Fang Ning. Stunned by this revelation, Mr. Fang Ning demands to know their identities and how they know his hidden past. The skull-masked man accuses him of orchestrating the orphanage fire, a claim Mr. Fang Ning immediately denies. The subordinate dismisses the denial, pointing out that the timing and execution of the event created a flawless cover-up. Mr. Xiang mockingly marvels at the idea of a 6-year-old planning such a perfect crime, eliminating 3 adults without leaving any loose ends. He erupts with golden energy, furiously denying their accusations and demanding their true purpose. The skull-masked man calmly adjusts his glasses, amused by the outburst and ready to reveal their identity. His face contorts into a monstrous maw as he introduces himself as Chang Baidao, an executor from the Abyss. He fully reveals his grotesque form, announcing his codename is the Abyssal Hound. His subordinate steps forward with a smug grin, introducing himself as the Abyssal Pangolin. The Abyssal Hound accuses him of destroying their soul infant, a key part of a project that has angered their leader, the Doctor. Mr. Fang Ning is taken aback, questioning the meaning of the Artificial Soul Entity project. The villain explains their leader, the Doctor, masterminded this groundbreaking project decades ago. He elaborates that while natural soul entities are powerful, they are too rare and uncontrollable to be reliable weapons. Therefore, the Doctor's chilling solution was to manufacture tragedies, forcing the birth of new soul spirits through intense, cultivated hatred. The subordinate explains they would capture these newly born spirits at their most vulnerable moment. He recalls reporting a successful cleanup, leaving the newly formed spirit to be collected after a week. This twisted process allowed them to steal a fraction of divine power, creating a host of grotesque artificial spirits. They boast about their endless supply of souls, which they would mind wipe and forge into living weapons. However, he reveals a critical flaw. These synthetic spirits couldn't evolve, forcing the Doctor to initiate a second phase. The villain reveals that Lian Xiang and Jiang Chang, the couple from the boutique, were the first products of this new generation of experiments. Mr. Fang Ning explodes with rage, disgusted that they inflicted so much suffering on real people just for a twisted experiment. The villain calmly corrects him, declaring that in this new era, only awakened beings like them are truly human. The two villains laugh cruelly, sneering that their victims should feel honored to contribute to their research. He coldly compares their human test subjects to lab animals, questioning why they deserve any more consideration. The villain extends an invitation, claiming they are superior beings who should unite to build a new world. He uses the captured partner as leverage, promising to put in a good word with the Doctor to spare her. But a menacing glint in the villain's eye reveals the dark alternative to his offer. He threatens that refusal means his partner will face a permanent grim fate. The subordinate sweetens the deal, promising a life of unlimited power and luxury if he joins their cause. Mr. Fang Ning remains silent, his expression unreadable as he appears to weigh his options. As the villain's patience wears thin, Mr. Fang Ning looks up, his decision finally made. He reaches out and shakes the villain's hand, seemingly accepting the offer to join their ranks. The villain grins, smugly welcoming him to the abyss, confident in his successful recruitment. But in a shocking betrayal, Mr. Fang Ning delivers a sudden, decisive blow, shattering the villain's glasses and his false compliance. Filled with righteous fury, Mr. Fang Ning vows to shatter the villain's skull-like mask. The Abyssal Hound stares in disbelief, a bloody mark on his forehead from the unexpected blow. He follows up instantly, slamming the villain to the ground with a burst of golden power. Fueled by pure rage, he winds up for another devastating punch, intending to end it. His fist smashes into the floor with explosive force, but his target is nowhere to be seen. Stunned, he realizes his attack missed and questions if the villain somehow teleported away. The Hound reappears behind him, his hands glowing with red energy as he mocks the failed attack. Unleashing a soul technique, the villain sends a torrent of crimson energy hurtling toward him. The two prepare to clash, the villain's cool confidence meeting Mr. Fang Ning's fiery determination. Their fists collide in a spectacular explosion of red and golden energy, shaking the entire room. Mr. Fang Ning struggles to hold his ground, the floor cracking under the immense force of the blast. The Abyssal Hound counters with a sinister grin, preparing to unleash another wave of dark energy. He scoffs at the failed sneak attack, completely unfazed by the bloody gash on his forehead. Realizing his opponent can teleport, Mr. Fang Ning knows he must activate his own soul technique to stand a chance. The villain moves with blinding speed, launching a high kick that Mr. Fang Ning narrowly dodges. With a manic grin, the Hound taunts him, questioning how long he can evade the inevitable. The subordinate joins the fight, mocking Mr. Fang Ning for not yet possessing a soul domain. The Hound seizes the opening, landing a devastating blow of crimson energy directly on his chest. The force of the attack sends Mr. Fang Ning flying backward, shattering the wall upon impact. He reels from the powerful hit, spitting blood as the damage takes its toll. The Abyssal Hound calls off his subordinate, deciding the initial test is over. Following orders, the pangolin unleashes his own soul technique, a crushing gravity well. Mr. Fang Ning is slammed to the ground, pinned by an immense invisible pressure. He struggles against the overwhelming force, his body feeling impossibly heavy. The Hound compliments his surprising speed, but dismisses him as no real threat, renewing his offer to join them. Pinned but not defeated, Mr. Fang Ning gathers his remaining golden energy into his hand. He unleashes a powerful, concentrated beam of light directly at the skull-masked leader. The villain smirks, mockingly complimenting the powerful strike that he believes missed its mark. However, Mr. Fang Ning stares back with a confident glint, suggesting the fight isn't over. A sudden crack splinters across the villain's mask, revealing the attack had hit its true target. He reveals his true target was not the villain, but the soul cage, which now glows with crimson cracks. Exhausted and bleeding, he screams that he's done all he can, leaving the rest to his partner. The subordinate sneers, explaining the cage self-repairs, and that their one chance has been wasted. Sure enough, the cracks on the cage vanish as the crimson chains reinforce themselves, stronger than before. Defeated, Mr. Fang Ning falls to his knees, believing their fight is finally over. His partner looks on with tearful eyes, her spirit still bound by the glowing red chains. With a single tear, she clutches the glowing talisman on her forehead, preparing to make a final stand. She unleashes the talisman's power, flicking it forward with a surge of brilliant light. An immense monstrous shadow erupts from her as the soul-binding chains shatter under the overwhelming force. The Abyssal Hound whips around in shock, stunned by the sudden and terrifying release of spiritual energy. The Abyssal Hound is thrown back as the crimson chains of the soul cage are violently shattered. He stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend how his supposedly perfect trap could have failed. Mr. Fang Ning watches with grim satisfaction as his partner finally breaks free from her restraints. Unleashing her full, monstrous power, she sends the Abyssal Hound flying with a wave of dark energy. Her face contorts with a mix of relief and terrifying power as she celebrates her newfound freedom. The subordinate panics, realizing this special spirit is far more powerful than they ever anticipated. Despite her overwhelming power, the pangolin prepares to activate his soul domain, confident he can still win. but her glowing red eye fixes on him with cold fury, freezing him in his tracks with a single look. In a blur of motion, she delivers a devastatingly swift and precise strike against the subordinate. The pangolin cries out in agony, clutching his grievously injured hand from the force of her attack. Enraged by his injury, the pangolin leaps forward, urging his boss to join the attack. He unleashes his soul technique, a gravity-infused punch aimed directly at the powerful spirit. But she effortlessly stops his devastating attack with just a single finger, surrounded by a protective green aura. With a simple flick, she unleashes a wave of power that sends the subordinate flying backward. His powerful punch misses its mark, instead shattering the floor with immense force. The terrified subordinate clutches his wounded arm, realizing he must use his soul domain to have any chance of survival. However, the Abyssal Hound intervenes, calling off the fight and ordering a strategic retreat. She watches them with cold fury, questioning if they truly believe they can escape her wrath. The villains make a hasty retreat through the window, with the Hound vowing this is not their final encounter. As they flee, they unleash a final, parting shot of dark energy directly at Mr. Fang Ning. He tries to calm his partner, telling her to let the villains go for now. But to his shock, he's suddenly ensnared by shadowy tendrils erupting from her. He sees her surrounded by a horde of spectral beasts, her expression ominously blank. Her face is consumed by shadow, leaving only a single glowing red eye staring back at him. He desperately tries to reason with her, reminding her of their life-death pact. The dark energy tightens its grip, and his eyes glaze over as he's overwhelmed. His partner clutches her head in agony, questioning her own identity as the shadows swirl. A flash of recognition sparks in her glowing eye as a long-lost memory surfaces. She erupts with manic energy, finally recalling her true identity as a princess of the Xiang kingdom. She reveals she has been waiting for the man who betrayed her promise of marriage. Consumed by dark energy, she fixates on a single thought: vengeance against the one who betrayed her. Mr. Fang Ning calls out her name, terrified by the stranger she has become. A shadowy hand closes around his throat, the pressure immense and suffocating. She leans in close, identifying him as her long-lost husband and promising his demise will bring her peace. Her mind flashes back to a snowy night and a brutal ambush that destroyed her royal convoy. As a child, she wept over her mother's body, a victim of the violent attack. A young boy, a familiar face from the past, desperately tried to pull her away from the tragic scene. Hiding in the woods, they overhear soldiers confirming her mother's fate and their own disappearance. The enemy commander orders a relentless search, determined not to let the two children escape. The young princess and her companion hold their breath, hiding in a bush as their pursuers pass just inches away. The flashback continues, showing the young boy carrying the princess through a frozen river, vowing to protect her. Exhausted and trusting, she leans against him, accepting his promise of safety. The memory dissolves into a single symbolic drop of blood, representing the pain of a broken promise. Back in the present, her corrupted form tightens its grip, convinced he is the source of her ancient sorrow. Pinned to the floor, he grits his teeth, furiously refuting her accusations of betrayal. Her face twists into a cruel smile as she revels in his suffering, wishing for his end. The dark energy solidifies around her as the memory fuels her cold, vengeful rage. Just then, the couple arrives, commenting on the wrecked door, unaware of the life-or-death struggle inside. The boyfriend cheerfully announces their return, holding out the briefcase with their promised payment. The briefcase suddenly falls from his hands, his cheerful expression replaced by shock at what he sees. The couple recoils in terror, questioning the chaotic scene unfolding before them. They watch as Mr. Fang Ning is restrained by his partner, confused as to why the ghost was not exorcised. Struggling against the dark power, Mr. Fang Ning desperately warns the couple to run for their lives. The corrupted spirit turns her attention to the couple, deciding to deal with them before finishing off her husband. In a moment of pure panic, the boyfriend abandons his partner and makes a mad dash for the exit. The girlfriend calls out his name in disbelief, watching him flee without a backward glance. His escape is cut short as shadowy tendrils erupt from the floor, ensnaring his legs. His face contorts with fear and desperation as he realizes he is completely trapped. With a pained apology, his girlfriend makes a decisive move, delivering a powerful kick. She sends him flying out the open window, watching in horror as he disappears into the night. The girlfriend looks on in terror, realizing the vengeful spirit has now turned its attention to her. His corrupted partner looms over the frightened woman, her shadowy minions swirling around them with malevolent intent. Cowering on the floor, the girlfriend pleads for help as the dark tendrils swarm towards her. Mr. Fang Ning shatters his remaining restraints with a burst of golden energy, desperately trying to stop his partner's rampage. He leaps in front of the girlfriend, taking the full force of a shadowy claw attack to shield her from harm. The powerful blow sends them both crashing to the ground, shattering the floor on impact. Consumed by rage, the corrupted spirit condemns them both, her shadowy forms eager to strike again. Despite his injuries, Mr. Fang Ning holds the terrified woman close, urging her to stay strong. He shields her with his own body, absorbing another devastating blast of energy that rocks the entire room. The bewildered girlfriend questions him, completely confused by the terrifying form his supposed spirit partner has taken. He has a sudden epiphany, recalling his partner used the talisman to break free from the soul cage. He explains to the terrified woman that his partner is only rampaging because she removed her protective talisman. He picks up the fallen talisman, realizing it's the key to suppressing her corrupted power. Telling the woman to stay back, he launches himself toward his corrupted partner, aiming to reapply the seal. He carves a path through the storm of shadowy attacks, his golden aura flaring as he vows to save her. Breaking through her final defenses, he thrusts the glowing talisman toward her forehead to seal her power. He gently holds her as the talisman makes contact, a tear tracing down her cheek as its power takes hold. He pulls her into a tender embrace, the dark energy dissipating as her true self begins to reemerge. The world dissolves around him, and he finds himself plummeting through a fiery, hellish landscape within her consciousness. He lands amidst the molten rock, staring in bewilderment at the chaotic, fiery world he's been pulled into. He questions his sudden arrival in this fiery landscape, realizing he's inside his partner's consciousness. His search leads him to the imposing gates of the long-lost Xiang kingdom. Inside, he finds himself surrounded by tormented spirits, questioning the source of the tragedy. A colossal vortex of dark, resentful energy hangs over the kingdom, a manifestation of immense suffering. He turns, spotting his partner's corrupted form amidst the swirling shadows, realizing she's at the center of it all. He ascends a grand staircase, witnessing spectral figures worshipping a trapped, weeping soul within the dark vortex. The sheer weight of the resentment in the air hits him, solidifying his understanding of her pain. He then sees a vision of his partner's true self, bound and tormented by the very same dark energy. Understanding that this mental prison is the cause of her rampage, he pushes past the spirits to reach her. As he reaches out, the dark tendrils ensnare his hand, but his protective golden bracelet flares to life to fight back. He cries out as the dark tendrils try to consume him, his golden energy pushing back with all its might. The golden bracelet on his wrist flares to life, beginning to devour the resentful energy swirling around him. In a desperate act, he pulls her into a kiss, channeling his purifying energy to break the curse. As the last of the dark energy fades, she seems to return to her senses, the talisman glowing softly on her forehead. The talisman slides from her head as she goes limp, her spiritual energy completely spent. He catches her as she falls unconscious, calling out her name as the mental world dissolves around them. Elsewhere, deep within the Abyss's territory, scientists monitor a massive pulsating red orb. The two villains are violently teleported back to their base, battered and defeated from their encounter. The lab's personnel react in shock, deducing the pair were ambushed and only survived thanks to a teleportation device. Two robed figures suddenly materialize, summoning the defeated duo to an audience with their leader, the Doctor. One of the robed figures delivers a swift, punishing strike to the insubordinate pangolin. The pangolin protests, demanding time to recover from his injuries before being dragged away. However, the Abyssal Hound silences his partner, ordering him to stand down immediately. The two villains respectfully submit to the authority of the skull-masked figure, who gestures for them to follow. The defeated pangolin bows low, left behind as his superiors depart without him. Lying in a pool of his own defeat, the subordinate recognizes the identity of his powerful assailant. Back at the apartment, Mr. Fang Ning gently holds his partner, who is now unconscious but finally at peace. The girlfriend approaches cautiously, asking about the spirit's condition, and he reassures her that she's just resting. With the chaos finally over, he tells the woman their commission is complete and prepares to depart. The girlfriend stops him, insisting he take the payment her cowardly partner had promised. She sincerely thanks him for saving her life, offering the briefcase as payment. He cheerfully accepts the case, slinging his unconscious partner over his shoulder without a second thought. The woman sighs in exasperation, realizing his focus on money hasn't changed one bit. His expression turns serious as he asks what she plans to do now that her life has been upended. Unsure of her future, she considers staying with her parents for a while. A bold idea strikes her, and she brightly suggests staying with him instead.
He awkwardly rejects her advance, pointing to the unconscious woman on his shoulder as a clear reason why.
Her face falls with disappointment, her bold suggestion quickly shot down. He bids her farewell as he departs, once again getting her name wrong and leaving her fuming. Elsewhere, in a dark, high-tech laboratory, a mysterious figure in a wheelchair monitors complex data on a glowing screen. The doctor coldly acknowledges his subordinate's mission failure as they stand before him in his high-tech lab. The pangolin desperately tries to justify their defeat, blaming the spirit's unexpected power for shattering their trap. The Abyssal Hound calmly takes responsibility, explaining his decision to retreat was a calculated move to ensure their survival. The doctor unexpectedly commends the Hound's judgment, silencing his subordinate's frantic excuses. Leaning back in his command chair, the doctor reassures them both, stating their performance was acceptable despite the outcome. He places a hand on the Hound's shoulder, a gesture that seems supportive but carries an undercurrent of authority. The doctor's tone shifts, delivering a chilling reminder that their power is a gift he can easily take away. As punishment, he confiscates their teleportation artifact, reassigning the mission to another agent. The Hound's confidence shatters as he watches his essential tool being taken, his protest dying on his lips. The doctor coolly challenges any objection, holding the confiscated artifact as a clear symbol of his absolute control. The Abyssal Hound bows his head in fear, assuring the doctor he wouldn't dare defy him. With a wave of his hand, the doctor dismisses them, demanding a full report on their failure. The two subordinates rise, obediently accepting their leader's command. As they depart, the doctor watches with a cold, calculating expression, a strange vial in his hand. He crushes the confiscated artifact in his fist, dismissing his agents as worthless tools. Leaning back, he coldly decides to use them until he finds more useful replacements. His thoughts turn to the spirit partner, recalling her escape from a tomb 5 years ago and her immense power level. The doctor realizes her strength is far beyond that of any ordinary soul hunter he has encountered. Holding a glowing red orb, he notes that she isn't fully awakened, making her capture a top priority. Dark energy swirls around him as he prepares to unleash his next, more powerful agent. The doctor summons his most fearsome agent, the Abyssal Dragon, to complete the mission. Back in the safety of their apartment, the night is quiet, but the danger still looms. While his partner rests, Mr. Fang Ning takes a moment to eat and process the recent battle. As he eats, he recalls the villain's words, realizing his partner was their primary target all along. He deduces they've been hunting her for a long time, long before their paths ever crossed. He questions their motives, wondering why they would try to recruit him if she was their true prize. Tending to her, he ponders the meaning of a soul domain, suspecting it's a power he'll soon have to face. Growing concerned by her prolonged unconsciousness, he considers re-entering her mind to check on her. Deciding on a familiar course of action, he leans in to transfer his energy once more. Her eyes suddenly snap open, glowing with a renewed and mysterious power. Caught in the act, he awkwardly tries to explain his intentions to his newly awakened partner. A single tear of relief escapes her eye, her memories of the ordeal still fresh. Overcome with emotion, she throws her arms around him, relieved to be safe. He gently pats her head, reassuring her that the danger has passed and she was the one who drove them away. She looks up at him with hopeful, tear-filled eyes, seeking confirmation of their victory. His expression turns serious as he explains how removing the talisman caused a terrifying change in her personality. Confused, she touches her face, having no memory of removing the seal herself. He recounts how she defeated their enemies with overwhelming power before completely losing control. She explains that the talisman has always been with her, suppressing a deep-seated resentment she can feel within. She remembers tearing it off as a last resort to escape the cage, never imagining the immense power it would unleash. He gently chides her, explaining the danger of removing the talisman and making her promise not to do it again. In a sudden move, he pushes her down onto the bed, catching her completely off guard. Leaning over her, he creates a tender moment, and she looks up at him with a flustered expression. She closes her eyes and blushes, anticipating a kiss as the mood softens. Instead, he places a gentle, reassuring kiss on her forehead, calming her fears. He carefully tucks her into bed, ensuring she's comfortable and safe for the night. With a determined look, he tells her to rest, announcing their plan to pack up and move immediately.
Peeking from the covers, she looks utterly confused by the sudden decision to relocate.
3 days later, a bandaged Mr. Fang Ning sits in a new, sparsely furnished apartment, recovering from their battle. He prepares to snap his old SIM card, knowing they need new identities now that the Abyss is hunting them. He drops the broken SIM card into a glass of water, confident their livestream funds will cover a new place. With their tracks covered, he finally lets out a sigh of relief, leaning back to recover from his injuries. Beside him, his partner sleeps peacefully, her expression serene after the chaotic ordeal. Suddenly, his mind is pulled into a disorienting vision of someone sinking into a watery abyss. His eyes snap open, revealing a flash of a forgotten, traumatic memory. The vision shows his younger self, covered in blood and clutching a knife in utter disbelief. The blood-stained weapon clatters to the floor, a symbol of a horrific event he can't comprehend. He sees himself as a child, screaming amidst the grim aftermath of a violent confrontation.